every other day or whatever. With my older one, this is that time, and I would guard that time because they're priority. And so you're building that relationship. Now, for some people, you're chasing career, you're chasing all these other things, which are important as well, but remember those balls that you're juggling. And then when the kid is 16, 17, you're now available, things have calmed down, you now want to start building relationship and building values in them. It's too late. We can't rewind time. So make sure that you identify those balls that must not fall. And one of them is family, is your kids. But be intentional. So a lot of people in life just try and go with the flow. It doesn't work like that. You know, I think it was Daniel that was saying that we don't have the time. So you have to be very, very strategic about it. Sit down. What is the time that I'm going to spend with this kid, with that kid? What are the things that we can go to do together? So for instance, I don't want to promote any show, but anybody know Visa on Arrival? So my younger son absolutely loves it. So every Friday, as soon as Visa on Arrival drops, that's one of our time together. So be very, very intentional, you know, and then in passing on your values and so on. Now, how does career and all that fit into it? Because it does. And we're at the Thrive Summit because we want to thrive in every area. So again, it's planning. So in terms of career, in terms of self-development, so 2025, it's a brand new year. In terms of career development, upskilling yourself, what do you have planned? What have you put down that, oh, in April, I'm going to maybe go for this conference or pay for this bit of upskilling? Plan it out. Don't just go with the flow. Otherwise, 2025 will pass. And we look back and we haven't done much. So plan it out, be very strategic, but also be so mindful about those balls that cannot drop. I'm a pastor as well, and I'm just going to give a really quick biblical example. Eli was an awesome priest, if we know the story of Eli. So Eli was a priest in the Bible. Why do I say he was an awesome priest? Hannah is crying, she wants a baby and all that. Eli tells her that her issue has been sorted, and that was it. It was sorted. But Eli's sons, Eli didn't do well with his sons. He raised sons that the Bible said they were corrupt, they didn't know God. And at the end of the day, when Eli was to get his report card from God, there was an issue. Because children, your family, they're balls that mustn't drop. So let's make sure that in everything that we're doing, and we can thrive in every area, but we need to be very intentional. We need to plan it out. Let's make sure that the balls that mustn't drop don't drop. And it might mean that at a particular season, you might need to put a ball down, but it's just for a season, and then you can get that ball back up again.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Wow. Very packed. Okay, so in one word, you've done really great for yourself. You've sold 22 courses, made $500,000 in revenue, and you've done a lot of things around your skill, which is really, really important, as well to people that are, African, Caribbean, immigrants in the UK. Now, one thing I want you to quickly, shortly speak to is, converting your skills into products. Would you say that that is something that is very important for anyone that is delving into business, within the UK? Would you say that it's important that you convert your skills into product?
Okay, well, she said I've done really well. I don't know how she got that information. So in my head, I'm actually...
As compared to someone that is just starting out,
well,
really.
I'm actually just starting. I run a startup company, so I'm here to scratch the surface. But I get what you mean.
I love the humility, actually.
So I think... so yesterday, a thought came to my mind yesterday. I looked at what was going on in Nigeria because I follow the Nigerian news, I follow global news. You have to understand the trends as a business person. And I see this road that they are building, the coastal road, and the construction companies, the way they were working really hard. And then I thought, wait a minute, Dangote is the one selling the cement, but these construction companies are doing a lot of work. So technically, who is working for who? So in actual fact, the construction guys are all working for Dangote. So the nation is working for him because you use cement to build. So he's actually the guy building. but the other guys are working using his product. And he taught me the power of product. There is power of service, because this is the real economy, right? Services and product, goods and services, that's the real economy. But products are actually extremely powerful. So you see Lidl everywhere, you see Tesco's everywhere, but there are some brands on the shelf there. They are even in more places than Tesco or Lidl themselves. Why? Because they've built a product, something that has been refined, packaged, thought through, and it's just everywhere. So product is actually a very good way to be omnipresent, to be everywhere, at the same time, and just, maintain your peace. And I think if you have an opportunity in this life to build one product, just one, that many people, millions or thousands, use, you've made a difference. So I think that at some point, and this was really why, I used to run a marketing agency. It was the thought of this that got me to start building SoftLink. Because at some point, all my life has been services. I started out as a photographer, a filmmaker, and I ran a marketing agency. I was working with brands, Smirnoff, Nestle, different brands. But they're waking up every day, waking up 6 a.m., going to bed 12 a.m. Agency is crazy. You've got to move fast and all that. And we had almost 22 employees at the time. So I said, wait a minute. This is not scalable. We wanted to build a product, something that can be used globally. And then, which meant I had to reinvent myself. So I had no intentions to start a technology company. I don't write software code. So I've never written a line of code in my life. But I needed to reinvent myself as an entrepreneur. And what did I do? You have to skill stack. So I think if there's anything you can take from this message is to skill stack. That is, if you're starting out, stack different skills on top of themselves. So, I stacked photography, stacked videography, marketing, communication, sales, public speaking, right, on top of each other, project management, managing teams, agile. I had to stack all those things. So, which is why anywhere I go in the world, I think I'll do well, and being in a place doesn't limit my impact, So, skill stack as much as you can, just combine different skills. Mm-hmm. But one skill I think is the greatest if you're going to do business is sales, by far. A lot of people focus on the art of building products. Maybe you're a baker, you want to know how to make the best cake. I tell you, if you take a little bit of your time and put it into learning and mastering sales, how to sell. Because if you have customers, even if you don't have products, you're still in business. I hope you know. Mm-hmm. And, and sales will fix 99% of business problems. Sales. So if you can sell anything, you have great value. The second skill that will reward you the most is leadership. How do you lead people? Because that's where you can begin to have bigger impact. How do you set up systems and processes so that you're not overwhelmed as somebody who is doing different things? You've got to know how to lead people to achieve, to delegate. It's not just delegation. Leadership is a lot very complex than just saying you go and do this. So being able to lead and being able to sell are two skills that would pay you a lot as a business person. Now, lastly, Tony Robbins said something. He said, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And how do we become fulfilled and be successful? Because there are lots of successful people that are not fulfilled. I hope you know. Many people do a certain job, get paid for 30 years, retire, and they're like, I don't think I enjoyed this life because they didn't do what they love to do. So the first thing, and I think the hack to being fulfilled, is to understand your nature. A lot of people focus on what they want to do or where they want to live. Or artist, are you a business owner or are you an entrepreneur? Sorry, are you an artist, a manager, or an entrepreneur? Those are the three nature. An artist is somebody who likes to build products. A manager is somebody who likes to manage people and processes. An entrepreneur is somebody who likes to commercialize. So an entrepreneur is happy to sell a business and move on and go and start something else. An artist is not willing to sell the business because that's their craft. So as public speakers, we are artists. Software developers are artists. A baker is an artist, right? If you understand your nature, it will tell you what you need to thrive and the things that you should do, and it will tell you areas that you need to complement. So I'm more of an entrepreneur than the guy. I love photography. I can take pictures if you wake me up in the midnight. But these days, I don't enjoy it so much. So software development, I have no interest. So I'm not so much an artist, I'm more of an entrepreneur. And I also don't like to manage people. So what do? Every time I start a new business, I have a COO for that business. So I get a chief operating officer to run the business. I get a technical person to do the work. Then I sell because I enjoy sales and I enjoy entrepreneurship. So I understand my nature, where I thrive. And that's why I focus on it. And I know that anytime I start something new, I always need a COO. I always need a technical person. So there's a quick test for those who are interested in understanding their nature. I put the test. It's a 1-minute quiz. If you fill it, you'll get a response on whether you're an artist, you're an entrepreneur, or you're a manager. If you go to danielfoley.com/discover, danielfoley.com/discover. So it will show you how to discover yourself. Just take the quick test. A response will be sent to you. So if you're an artist, you know where to thrive. If you're a manager, you already know that you are better off working in a company as a manager. No need to start a business. Work with entrepreneurs. Help them manage their lives. You get rewarded, you get paid. You can take your money and go and invest it in stock and something and still become really wealthy. Then if you're an entrepreneur, you know, once you understand that, it will tell you how you can pattern your life and then have, I think, a very fulfilled and
amazing,
life.
Amazing. Thank you. So lastly, let's talk a bit about expansion. And we have quite a mixed audience. We have people that have been running business for a while. They're doing well. They're, selling to people. They're making the money. And let me use this analogy. For example, if you look at the African stores or some market, for example, let me use Leicester, market now, Leicester City Center market. So when you get there, you would see probably like African stores that have started out like maybe 20 years, 30 years. They are still in the small shop that they started out in, and you would see, brands like Lidl, they are in different cities, they are expanding, they are opening up in different places. So do you want to quickly speak to that? Would you say it's a cultural thing that we're just very conservative people and we don't necessarily like to expand so much? Or would you say that, what advice would you give to somebody that is in that state where they don't know whether they want to expand or whether they should just continue to run their business small scale the way they've been running it?
Thank you so much. If I may to appreciate this lady, she's a very good moderator and very eloquent and fluent as
Thank you, sir.
Everything that my good friend here has said, and the wonderful women, ladies have said. Well, I'm going to, again, try to make these relevant as well. If you're starting up, just before I talk about what you've asked, you may have to multitask, which what I do myself. Let me just ask, how many people here today, you have a business currently? Okay? Okay. How many people want to start their business? Okay. How many people want to work for people? Work for people.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, because I said
Right?
to this year I was speaking to the church and I was saying to them, I said to them, listen, you need to go and start something. I think the way we are brought up in Africa is the fact you get a degree, a master's, and then go and work for Shell or work for companies. Things have changed over time. And I'm going to ask you, if you're really serious about yourself, you want to make it, you must be able to start something. And what I mean is, I tell you this, we had a property I buy property, run down properties, renovate and refinance and I rent them out. No, I just rent out.
Okay.
And in Newcastle, what I found out is, I met a Nigerian couple. They have a shop. It's called Last Bone. They sell African food and things like that. And in that area, I was actually looking for people to work on the property. And I couldn't find anybody. I was asking the man, I said, can you find any black persons who kind of people that can actually do some work, paintings? Well, if I take these suits away, these trainers, no, I literally built a house. No, I myself, the last house that I rented out, for about a few months, about 6 months, every weekend, I was driving to Newcastle because I have to be practical. I was driving for 5 months. I was driving to Newcastle because my contractor was going to charge me £38,000 to renovate the entire house. So I did the entire house myself. Wow. Yes. And by the time the house was revalued, I gained about £60,000 on that one house. And I was asking that, do we not have, I was trying to find out, because I have a Nigerian couple living there. I said, do we not have Nigerians who are, because these are things you can do that you can earn tax-free. But we're not, we want to just into care. I want to go and do we want to work for people. We're not thinking that we can create something ourselves, that you can make money painting. I can paint. I literally did my own flooring myself, apart from the electricity, the electrical work, and the plumbing work. Almost everything I did myself. I was working full-time. And people ask me, how do you do it? I pastor full-time for 10 years. I delegate my work. All my ministers, they're there. I don't have to worry. The other thing is, if you parent, delegations. I delegate my work, what to do. On Sundays, my wife, I only just literally, I preach twice on Sundays. Every Sunday, twice. And other work, businesses, I have people running it. Because I delegate. So what I'm saying, at the initial stage, when you're starting something, start something. I want to beg you people, honestly. Do you want me to put you on the floor? I want you to be rich. I want you to make it.
Right.
So if you are, let me see, how many people have a mobile phone? And what do you do with your mobile phone?
Snap pictures.
And the people in Africa, in a bush somewhere, with a crack old phone, just recording a quick video, they post it on the Instagram, and the people are watching it. You are watching it, you laugh. Yeah. And while you are laughing, they are making money.
Yeah.
So, how many people can barb hair? You can barb hair. Let me see your hand up. Go and learn this. You can barb hair. Wow. Do you know how much it costs me to make a hair, to barb my hair? About £30. Now, this guy, I have to book him 3 days, 4 days in advance. Whereas you have a degree in accounting, and you are boasting about it with your suit on. And the guy is cleaning up, and he's getting from you a tax-free, because it's what you declare to HMRC. So why can you do something? I have a man who came from, I was sharing with you, this man came from Guyana for my award last year. And this man has 104 books. So what I want to say to you from today, when somebody greets you or they meet you, there must be something that you are going to offer them. It will be a waste that people greet you, they walk past you, and you are not offering them anything.
Right.
Content creator. All the people that work with me, over 20 people currently working with me, I've never seen them. We've never met in Nigeria. I met them on social media. And they're earning money, tax-free, 100,000, 200,000. That's how much every month. We here, you're wasting your credit, your mobile, your iPhone, your nice phones. Do something with it. Create something with it. This morning, as I said to Miss Grace, today I've created 3-4 content. I did a quick introduction, and I posted it. And people are going to watch that. So do something with it. So for those who are thinking of expansions, let me just say this. You've built a brand. Now, people see me, the Philip-Olawade or the global CEO and things like that. I've created not just these 3 businesses. I've created several things that there's no way you're going to meet with me that you go free. There must be something that you will tap from me. There must be something you will buy from me. If you don't buy my book, you will buy my courses, you will buy my coaching programs. So don't waste these things. Don't waste who you are. Don't waste the resources that you have. You have that resources. You are not just you don't want to be just employee. Become an employer. Employ yourself. Create income for yourself. A lady that I met last year is coming from my ward, and I said, what do you study? She said she did HR. I said, what are you doing? Oh, I'm hoping to change my visa. And I said, why don't you create a coaching program? And I said, I'm giving you between now and next week, that was last day December, put out an advert out there, a coaching. And guess what? She put advert out and she had about 30 people on the coaching section. And she charged them. So create something, your experience, translate that people that want to use your experience as a vehicle to where they're going. So use it, your knowledge, your skills, what happened yesterday, create something with it, content with it. People are going to watch it. People are going to buy it. And then set a program. Next month, I'm doing a coaching program on this. That's you. There are people that will buy it for $9.99, £5. Create something for yourself. And if you have a business already, begin to think about expansion. What more can I add to it? So I have the Global Business and Authors Award UK. I have the Global Business School. I have the Phillips Group, which is the properties. And I have the coaching programs. And I have all these things that people will come and crawl in contact with me. And they buy it because it's relevant, it's relatable. So expand, create something for yourself. It's not just about visa. Even if you have to go to Nigeria today, you must go back as an employer, CEO, create something. There are people that want to buy from you. You are in the United Kingdom. You live in the UK. They want to buy what you're about to sell. You know, you can even sell what people get. I get paid for speaking. Now, I'm speaking now for free. If you're going to meet me again, you have to pay. No, I'm saying, and I'm being honest with you. So, your talk is a product. Don't wait until you have a massive warehouse or something. Be a speaker, be a coach, be a writer, content creator. Charge people £5, £10 per week. From that, you have a reference. Now you can say, I used to work for Mr. Daniel as the content creator, and then you post on social media, and then it will give you a reference. And from £5 to £10, £20, imagine you creating content for 10 people, charging them $4.99. 10 people. And from 10 become 20. From 20, he's going to refer 2 of his friends to you. Look at you making money. So let me see, how many people are going to start that today? You're going to start a business. Thank you. How many people? Let me see. You wouldn't waste the credit on your phone. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Amazing. So we've come to the end of the first panel session. I want to believe that everyone picked something. You know, we've said a lot here at the panel session, and our speakers have spoken to our spirit, you know, and I'm sure that you've picked something, you know, that you're going to start to run with. Don't leave this conference the same way you came, and make sure that as you leave, you start to implement. It's not about listening to what has been said. It's about running with it, implementing what has been said, and getting results. Such that the next time you come for Thrive 2.0, I'm speaking to Anu now. I want to believe that there is a Thrive 2.0. Yes. So I'm believing that when that time comes, you are coming again a better person than who you are, you know, when you came for this first Thrive event. Thank you very much to all our panelists. We had a great time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was such an insightful panel session. Can we please put our hands together for our speakers? Thank you so much for doing this. We have two sponsors who want to speak about what they do. But before we have them, can we have questions and answers? In 3 minutes, 5 minutes, do you have any question that you want to ask the speakers? Please stand up so that we know how many people we have. So I will let Adiola continue the question and answer. Oh, we have many people now. Okay. Please come forward. Can we come here? Please put our hands together. Put your hands together for them. So what we'll do is you ask all your questions and then they would answer. If you want to ask a particular speaker, just say, my question goes to you, Mr. Daniel, for instance. So.
All right, thank you. My name is Oluwaseyi Akinla. Okay. All right, so I have two questions, basically. One is around business, and it may go either way, because it could be any of the speakers who will be responding. But the thing about the expansion on business, first of all, I feel like we Africans kind of lack, permit me to use that word, lack structural capacity, the ability to build structures and systems that would help business thrive, go beyond myself and my family, because I've seen a lot of businesses, even in Nigeria, that have gone down because the owner died. He could not even hand over to his children successfully. How much more build a brand that would have board of directors and all of that. So I feel like there's a trust factor, number one. Maybe we don't trust every other person apart from ourselves that can run the business. So I would like maybe a little bit of enlightenment on overcoming that trust part of being able to hand over your business to someone else, because I know Daniel Foley mentioned it earlier. He starts a business and then he gets a COO and a CTO and CFO and all the COs, you know, to run it. So the ability to be able to say, you know what, I want to hand this over. I want to build a structure that does not require me to be there. Because someone said something to me sometime that having a stream of income is not about you being available to run all the streams of income. Otherwise, you are dying. Yeah, so you have to be able to build and then let people run it for you. Yeah, so that's number one. Number two, I believe that a lot of immigrants are really gifted, talented, really result-driven. We want to be the best in wherever we have found ourselves. But we struggle from one major thing, which is the ability to stay long where we are. So everybody is kind of doing what they're doing now because we have heard when we arrived that this is the area that will give you sponsorship and then you can get your ILR. So I feel like a lot of people want to do things but are very limited by the ability to express themselves, because if they do not get sponsored after 2 years of schooling, if you don't pass, you go back home. If you pass extra 2 years, you go back home. It's still going back home. So that ability to say, what can we do, especially business-wise, to say that I might not be able to get a job that will sponsor me, but what businesses can I do that would help me probably self-sponsor, something like that, or make me stay here, get that period I want to stay. Thank you very much.
Okay, before you answer, I would want everyone to ask their question so that, you know, we can answer at once. Do you want to go? Yeah.
Okay, my question goes to, standing on the existing protocol, my question goes to Mr. Daniel. When I was listening to you, I was expecting you to go deeper, more practical on business aspects. Yeah, because I've been opportune to speak with someone who just started early to register her business and, you know, the documentation and some things. Though I didn't speak much with her, but I was expecting you to at least give us some hints about UK in particular, right? So things that you should expect when you want to start your business officially here in the kingdom. Thank you.
All right.
Sorry, what's the name, please?
Benedicta.
Okay, Benedicta.
Hi everyone, my name is Blessing. My first question goes to Mr. Daniel. He spoke about sales being the most important skill. So my question is, how do you master the skills of sale can you give us tips on how to be good with sales? And also, my second question goes to Dr. Fumi and maybe Mrs. Grace. As someone at the early stage of starting a business that requires a lot of time investment and all of that, as much as you are trying to manage everything, the family and the business, how do you deal with the mom guilt or wife guilt, if there's any word like that? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, the panelists. I came in between the panel section, and I mean, I got so much. My first question goes to, I think, Dr. Fumi, right? How do you establish healthy boundaries while parenting teenagers without giving them too much space? Because I know you mentioned dropping the balls at, how do you maintain that healthy boundaries, especially in a country where you see girls before they even turn 16. My daughters will always tell me, Mom, when I'm 18, I'm going to be leaving your house. I'm like, shut up, where are you going, So, I mean, what do you need to put in place for that? And then the next question is for Mr. Daniel. Yeah, Mr. Daniel Foley. How would you distinguish between offering a product and providing a service? And is there a possibility that you can convert your service into a product? And then the next one, you did mention something about a manager should remain within a paid company. But then I'm asking, is there no possibility around the manager starting up a business and leveraging his managerial skills to establish that business and collaborate with maybe a CEO or an employee? Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Fee Follower. Thank you for that wonderful session. My question goes to Mr. Philip. And it's that, what advice would you give to immigrants looking to start a business, especially considering the challenges around visa? Because I have a friend who, one of the reasons why they've not started their business is that visa constraint. Oh, I don't have a long-term visa. What advice do you have for immigrants? Then two, in terms of building a successful team, because you talked about delegation, what qualities or what factors do you prioritize when you're trying to select your team? Because as a CEO, you want to have a team so that you can move on to other things, and you have maybe financial constraints. So how do you select successful team, looking at your finances, the resources available to you? Thank you.
Hi all, I'm Divine. Thank you for that amazing session. My question goes to Daniel. You mentioned different personality types, and I think you talked about how the best one to start a business would be an entrepreneur. I'm just wondering, for the other personality types, where do you think they're likely to thrive? And, for example, is it unadvisable for an artist to start a business, or would it be advisable for that personality type to collaborate with others in order for the business to thrive, right? Or is there a different model or different approach they would have to take that would make them successful?
Okay. Do you want to go first?
Okay, yes. So is it okay if I sit down here, or do I need to stand up or something? I don't know. Okay. Okay.
To sit is fine. But yeah, because of the
Yes,
videos.
so that, I'm just not seated, and then people are wondering, where is he speaking from? Okay, so how do you build structure into your business? Good. I'll just sit down here if that's okay. So good question.
Are you able to pick him?
Okay, cool.
Good.
Yeah. So yes, there's this thing with building systems and structures for African kind of businesses and Nigerian businesses, and planning succession, which is a problem. Succession planning. People think that their children should be the best people to run their businesses, which may not be the case. I think for me, so what has worked for me, which is to go practical now. I think Benedicta was the one that said I wasn't practical enough. Well, it was a panel session. It was quite short, as you can imagine. Yeah, so we can't really go deep dive into these things. But to go a bit more practical, what has worked for me is ownership. Find the right people. Business is about people. It's not so much about even what you're doing. If you've got amazing people, you will do well. What do I mean? If the product is not working, if you have a good team, you can always change the product. if you don't like a particular customer segment, you can change your customer segment. But when you have the right people, then you have a business. Now, when you find the right people, reward and compensate them. So most times, the reason why we're unable to, pass down our businesses and scale and grow big is because we hold ownership in all the businesses, 100% ownership. That's the problem. It's a mentality thing. So what I do, I have employees in Nigeria who are part owners of the company. So we do what profit sharing. They earn a salary, I get a salary, and we share profit. So sometimes 10%, sometimes 20% of the business. So my agency business in Nigeria, for example, the manager in the business owns a part of the business. Softlink, which is the technology company, my CTO obviously owns a part of the business. My COO also owns a part of the business. And then we have equity partners, And even in technology companies, you also have what is called an employee share pool, and I learned this from the tech space. I didn't learn it from building conventional businesses. In the tech space, if you're raising venture capital, some investors will ask you, do you have an employee share pool to retain your best talent? That is your senior engineers who are not owners of the company, right? But there's a pool of maybe 5%. Even if you work in Google today, it gets to a level in Google that you have access to a share pool. And you can also give discounts on selling of shares in the company. So Google employees will buy a Google shares cheaper than you and I because they are Google employees. That's how these big brands have built, systems and structure around and motivation. To motivate people to want to remain in the business, you have to give something, So find the best people because you can't give ownership to mediocre people, But you've got to make sure that first, as a CEO and as a leader, you have that vision to build a great business and a great brand, and then you bring the right people in, then you can reward them. But now, rewarding people with equity or shares is something that you have to do with wisdom. So get advice, which is why you should have mentors and coaches, or have a lawyer, or have someone that's done it, and say, how do I go about this? So that you don't go and give 50% of your business to somebody else thinking you're trying to be nice. It's not about being nice. I own more than 50% in my businesses anyway, and if you own less than 50%, investors will not even invest. That's the fact, because they are like, as a CEO, what's the motivation for you? And then when we get diluted, you own 30%, so that becomes small. Okay, so get a mentor, get a coach, and get advice in that area. Now, systems and processes, get education. I remember there was a time when I started my wedding photography business, I was like top 3 wedding photographers in Nigeria. Like if you say Daniel Foley, people didn't even know my face, but they just want me to photograph their weddings. I was doing like 4 weddings in one weekend. And I was very overwhelmed. I was just tired. My team were tired, and I said, look, we need to learn structure. So somebody hired us for an event. I told the person, that day, I had booked a training. I would never forget this lady. She's called Stephanie Onwunali. She was the one that taught me business structure and process. That was my first class on business structure. So I told the client, I said, look, I have a workshop on that day. If you pay me, I will not be there, but my boys and my team will be there. Is that okay? She said, yeah. As far as maybe you show up at some point in the day. Sometimes they hire me because they want to see my face, not so much because they want me to hold the camera. That's another thing that I noticed in the wedding industry. The brides just want Daniel Foley to be there. So not necessarily because I will shoot the pictures. So what I did was, it was in Lekki first one, the class. Then the wedding was at Oriental Hotel, for those who know Nigeria a bit. So I left that event, went for the class, and sat in that class, which means I left money to get education. That's what it means. Well, I made the money in the end anyway, but I still prioritized being in that class to learn structure. And what I learned in that class saved me many years of stress and labor. So I had to go and learn, how do you put structure, how do you write SOPs? And so what I do now, to be more practical, right, Benedicta, is that whenever I'm employing somebody in a role, you will be the one to do the systems, the SOPs, and processes for that role. But there was a time I wrote the initial SOPs and the initial processes, operations, and all that. But today, I no longer do that. If I employ you, I tell you, look, what I'm paying you for is not doing the work. What I'm paying you for is figuring out the processes and writing out the processes for doing that work, so that if you do leave this company, somebody else will pick up that documentation and continue. So that's how I keep the oil running now. So I don't write, even my software documentation was done by my CTO. So when you're hiring people or bringing people into the business, you as a founder will do the first documentation. of your business. This is how we bake our cake. 2 cups of this, 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of butter, this. Then 20 minutes in the oven. Okay, you write all those processes down. You'll be the first person to do that. Then when you're done with that, you give that to the baker. They'll be the ones updating it. So you're checking in weekly or monthly to see how our processes and our systems updated. If they are, you are in business. So that you're not the person doing that work. Cool. So the next question, sorry, I'm taking it, but I want to give value. So the next question is, what can I do while schooling? While schooling, I'll tell you this. There are some skills that does not even affect your visa. I'll give an example. Photography, for example. You can school and be a photographer easily. You can even have a full-time job and be a wedding photographer and be a portrait photographer. When I got to the UK, my garage at the minute is a studio. It's a complete studio and an office. What's the garage used for? I cleared out all the stuff in there, converted it to the studio, like this real estate man here. I was the one, myself and my friend, we put the roof, did everything, made it look nice. You know, the UK culture is DIY. I used that space. So that's additional revenue for the business, right? So as a student, you can do what you love to do. So if you love music, spend some time, invest some time into what you love to do. You can still keep your, whether it's a care job, an accounting job, a full-time job, do it, get paid, right? Because your clients, remember, you need your client base to build over time. But don't wait until, okay, my visa is going to expire in the next 3 years, so I still have 3 years. After 3 years, then I'll start a business. No. Start telling people about what you do now, because it might take 3 years before 20 customers or 50 customers. So start building your clientele base by telling people about what you do, and don't put all your time in just the activity that gives you visa. That's what I always tell people. You've got to diversify your time. Like this man said, he said 30 minutes. He was volunteering. He said, can I volunteer my time for 30 minutes in a week? You have to look at how you manage time, because time is the real currency, isn't it? So do you spend all your money to get visa? No, you have to spend your time as well. Some time will be dedicated to volunteering, some time, with family, some time in your own passion business, and then some time for that care work. That's how you're going to win over time. So put your time into and build competence in that regard. Business registration, I'll give you a quick arc. Some people come to me I didn't even know that this thing was quite valuable. When I registered my first company, it was Tide, T-I-D-E, Tide Bank. They have a free business registration. I think they charge £9 now for it. You don't need a lawyer, you don't even need an accountant, you don't even need any documentation, you just answer a few questions. So if you go to, just Google Tide Business Registration. Okay, this is free advert for them, but anyway. So Tide Business Registration. I know that most of these new banks, new corporate banks, they have some sort of free business registration because they need customers. Guess what? You won't even leave your house. Like right now, you do the registration in like 20 minutes. In 1 week, you will get the document that your company has been registered and you have a bank account with Tide. 1 stone, 3 beds. You don't pay a lawyer, you don't pay anybody, you do it for free. Even if it's £9, it's easy, right? So just go do that, register. But find out, the thing with that business registration is that it's a limited company. Your visa might not allow you to be a director in a limited company. So if you're not, then look for free business registration for, what's it called? The other option. For self-employed. Yeah, so you can do that. And some people don't even need to register companies for now. You don't need to register a company to tell people what you do. You don't need to register a company to run ads on Google or on Facebook to start finding customers. You don't need a company for that. So it depends on where you are. But if you do need a company and your visa allows you to do that, then by all means, please do that. Okay, she's telling me my time is up. So maybe, lastly, I will take the man's question, which was, I think, yes, product. Okay, how do you leverage your expertise? If you're an artist or you're a manager, can you partner with people? Yes. So as an artist, you can obviously, but just make sure that what you want to do, if you like the process of doing the work, know that that's not where growth is going to come from. You're not going to be the cook in the kitchen all the time. Your business will not grow that way, and you may not have the life that you really desire. Because the end goal when you're doing business is that you have your time, isn't it? So write down the processes of doing what you do. It can never be as complicated as people say, oh, what we do is special. I laugh at them. You've not done business. What you do is not special. Running an airline business like Virgin Atlantic is hard, isn't it? The entire process of running, is the founder of the company at the airport all the time to receive guests? No. they documented their processes. So no matter what you do, as an artist, document your processes so that you can hire someone else to do that, whilst you can then evolve into maybe the role of a manager, and you can get training for that, or you can partner with people. Importance, so lastly, so yes, you can, whether you're an artist, an entrepreneur, or whatever, you can always do business, but you need to know your skill set and need to know what to do to move around. Lastly, the importance of creating a product. So yes, your services can be converted into a product. In fact, I always say productize your service. How did I do that? All my online courses, I've recorded 22 online courses so far, and I've sold it to more than 100,000 people, and I use Facebook ads to do that. That's how I made the money to build SoftLink. As most people, before they build a technology company, you have to find angel investors and find venture capital. I've done all that for years now without venture capital funding. I've self-funded my business. So that's why I own a large part of the business, and I can fund our growth to some extent as well. And how did I do that? It was online courses. So it wasn't photography. Photography made me good money, but online courses made me way more money easily, because I was in Nigeria and I was selling online courses in dollars. I just asked my brother to create a Stripe account for me. He did that, and I was able to use that to receive global payments. So all your knowledge and your expertise, an online course or a book, some people even journal their life and put it in a book and sell it. That's a product, and that's what SoftLink do. We have something called the Experts Program, which I think you will hear a bit more, where we help experts document and productize their knowledge, and then we help them build the systems, the marketing systems, the content systems, the branding, to do it globally and then be able to make money from their knowledge. So I think I'll stop there for now.
Thank you so much. Amazing. Okay, Dr. Fumi, do you want to?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I won't sit. You might not be able to see me at the back. Height factor. Okay, so the two questions. The first one was about mom-wife guilt. So when you're balancing everything and the balance maybe isn't quite right. One thing I would say about that is the balance is really, really important. And I know that it's easier said than done, but carry your family along. So for instance, in a healthy family, if the wife is having to spend so much time on the business or what have you, then it might be that the husband might need to step up a bit more than usual when it comes to the children and so on. Also, with your children, carry them along as well. You hear stories where somebody would say, oh, my parents came from India or whatever with nothing, and they worked so hard, the journey of their parents, and that does something for children as well. So carry the family along, whether it's the husband or the wife and the children. Again, that balance, really, really important, but the balance can look different in different families, but make sure that that balance is there. A situation where the children, I heard of a situation where when the dad comes home at the weekend, the little child is running from the dad because he doesn't know the dad. That's not balance. You have to work it out in a different way. So again, carry the family along. The second one was about how do you maintain healthy boundaries with teenagers. Teenagers are an interesting species. I've got two teenagers right now. Well, actually, one is he's getting close to not being a teenager anymore. Teenagers are in a very special space because they're not quite kids anymore, but they're not adults anymore either. They wouldn't agree with me, but that's the space they're in. And when they're in that space, how do you create healthy boundaries and so on? The ideal situation is you start early. So long before they get to teenagehood, you've got that relationship with them, like we said earlier on. You're making sure that you understand your individual child. Sometimes people will say, oh, these two children, they were brought up in the same family, same environment, and yet they're so different. The parenting was the same. That's the problem. The children were not the same. So the parenting should not have been the same. So get to know your children from little on and make sure that the parenting and the training and all that is tailored to each child. I'll give an example. So children are said to fall into two main categories, pro-authority and anti-authority. Pro-authority is that child that makes you say, thank you, Jesus, I'm a parent. Everything you tell the child to do, yes, mom, oh, I love to do that, mom. The anti-authority is the one that you're like, did they send you to me? That child is like, you say, do this, why? I don't want to do it, and so on. Now, if you parent those two children the same way, you're going to miss it. So again, you have to understand them and parent them right. Again, teaching and training are different. So sometimes what you find in our families is like, we're doing a lot of teaching. You do this, you do that, and when I say, and the kid is just like in, out, in, out. Training, on the other hand, is I teach you something, and then I step back and I say, go and do it. And I even let you fail, because you're in a safe space right now at home. So start early. If you haven't started early, it's not too late. But I'm going to sum it up by saying this. So this is what healthy should look like, and this is what you want to try and get to. When your children are young, you're the manager. You know, the manager tells you, do this, do that, and so on. But when they hit teenagehood, especially mid-teenagehood, late teenagehood, you shouldn't be the manager anymore. You should transition to be the coach. So you're the one that's coaching them. Why don't you try this? And they come back and they have that relationship with you. And then when they get to adulthood, they become a friend, hopefully. It's flipped. In fact, sometimes they become the manager. But that's how healthy should look. So if you've got that teenager and your boundary looks like you're still barking out instructions at them, you're still the manager, it's not going to work. I'll end with this story. There's a story of a little kid, a little boy, who he's somewhere with his mom. So let's say he's in Thrive 2025, and he's there with his mom, and he's just messing about, running up and down, and the mom is like, little Johnny, sit down. And Johnny refused to sit down. He's just doing his own thing. And the mom gives him that look that African moms have. And Johnny knows that if he doesn't sit his butt down right now, something's going to explode. So he sits down. And then after a while, Johnny says, Mom. And the mom says, yes, Johnny. And Johnny says, Mom, I'm sitting down, but in my heart, I'm standing up. So we don't want to raise children that they're sitting down, but in their hearts, they're standing up and they're just waiting to leave the house. Thank you.
Amazing. Okay. I think all questions have been answered, right? No? Okay. Yeah, yours. Right. Perfect.
Thank you. I want to appreciate the speakers again for the contributions. And I just want to say, somebody asked about how do you start a business? You've seen, I call him Dr. Daniel now. He was in Nigeria when he started his business. You don't have to be in the UK. You don't have to restrain yourself to, oh, I'm a student, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. It still begins from the mind. Okay, because I'm here, I can't do this. What I would say, if you're in the UK, you're on a student visa, you want to start a business, get a coach. Or go and speak to somebody who's already done that, or who is doing it, who you can connect with, and they will take you through it, that you can do this, you can do this. There's so many things you can do in the UK. They're not going to be coming to you, I'll say, what are you doing now? What are you has, let me see what you're doing. There are things you can do yourself. If you're doing barbing, or you can do content creator or something like that. You can just do anything. Just know your legal boundaries or things you can do or you think you cannot do. So I would just say to you to answer that. But I can't give you legal advice because I'm not under insurance. I'm not doing legal advice. But I would say get somebody who is doing it, who has done it, who can put you through it, and they can guide you through it. But what I'm saying to you, do not limit yourself to this visa thing. Because I'm on the visa, I'm limited, I can't do this. You can do it. People are doing it. Create the content, do something, do a business. You may not call it a business, but you can call it volunteering. It must be, maybe they gave you, they pay you not just as a payment for what you do, but speak to a lawyer. Speak to an accountant, and they will tell you what to do. Okay, but don't limit yourself. That's what I say. Get a coach.
Thank you so much, sir. I would also say that you can be a director of a business even if you're not within the UK. You want to say something, Ma? Yes. Okay.
Thank you. This is in relation to mother's guilt. I'm a mother myself. I've got 3 sons, aged 34, 21, and 17. And I can tell you, the first thing I think as parents, especially as Christians, as Nigerians, we need to acknowledge we're not in Nigeria, and we need to become comfortable with biological fact. From a very early age, I always spoke to my sons about biological fact, which is one of the problems I think a lot of teenagers have with their parents, especially people from Africa. We're embarrassed and shy in talking about things like sex, sexuality, from my time my kids were young, I always just talk about things, not to the level they could understand. But now I know if my son has a boil on, he knows where to come. He's not shy. They will talk about their girlfriends. They will talk about everything with me because they feel comfortable. And I think it's so important as parents that we leave our inhibitions and let God guide us and give us the strength and courage to speak to our children as we're meant to and not shy away from engaging with them properly. So that's all I wanted to add about mother's guilt.
Thank you so much. Okay, I would say we've come to the end of the first panel session and answer session. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, you can clap. You can clap. So we were supposed to have recess now, but we will not be having it, sorry, because we are pressed for time. And to avoid information overload, I will just invite one of our sponsors, NCO Healthcare Consulting, to talk about what she does, and then from there we move on to the panel session 2.
Thank you very much. Technica? Yeah, okay. So my name is Olayinka Aremu.
Yes, for many healthcare professionals, real growth and financial freedom feel out of reach. You're probably experiencing long hours, constant pressure, but still no real career satisfaction. Maybe you've thought about stepping out, starting your own healthcare business, or building a brand that gives you the freedom you deserve, but you're stuck and unsure of how to break free from the system. I am Olayinka Aremu, popularly known as Nurse Coach Ola. For the past 13 years, I have built my career across nursing education, healthcare management, and clinical practice. But early on, I realized I wanted more. I wanted to lead, to create, to build something bigger than myself. So I took a leap. I went from being a staff nurse back in 2011 to now thriving as an assistant professor and doctoral researcher in Ireland. But I didn't stop there. Along the way, I built a personal brand. I launched multiple businesses, and today I earn income not just from nursing, but from public speaking, coaching, consulting, and several other investments. In the last 7 years, I've coached hundreds of healthcare professionals just like you, who felt stuck in their careers, many of whom have launched businesses, built multiple streams of income, and most importantly, found their freedom. If this is your desire, then the Healthcare Expert Program is definitely for you. The Healthcare Expert Program is a comprehensive online course and coaching program designed to fast-track your career and help you build a thriving healthcare business. In the Healthcare Expert Program, I'll coach you for 1 year and equip you with the tools and strategies you need to accelerate your career in leaps, develop a personal brand that opens doors to new opportunities, earn more by working smarter, and launch a successful healthcare business that gives you the freedom you deserve. Click the Learn More button below to get started now.
I'm the click, so click me. You can click me. Thank you so much. So my name is Olayinka. Just as the video said, if you need to start a business in healthcare, I'm sorry, I'm selfish, just healthcare. Please, I'm just right there. If you want to accelerate your career, you want to move from just being, the level you are to high-level leadership and management within a very short time, I'm your link. Also, I wrote a book. Any nurse here? Are you a nurse? Okay. All right. So I wrote a book because I struggled when I moved to Ireland. Sorry, I'm from Ireland. I'm not from the UK. I flew in this morning from Ireland. Yes, because this means a lot to me. I believe that we all should thrive and not just survive, right? So I wrote a book for new nurses or nurses who are still struggling, new, not a novice nurse. Because what happens is that sometimes we are made to feel like a novice, but we are not a novice. We are only new. So I have copies of the book there. You can also come. So thank you so much for having me at Thrive. See, we all thrive. Thanks.
Thank you so much. She's my senior colleague, and we've worked together for how long now? This should be the third time we've been meeting physically. I think we've met twice in London from Ireland this morning. Thank you so much, Nurse Coach Ola. And by the way, the book with her. I'm a book project consultant, and we've done like how many books? Four books together. So I won't be exhibiting, but of course my company, Pen Pixel Digital Press, we have our stand there as well, and some of the books that we have published. So you can come after that. So let's go to the next panel session. Wow. We are pressed for time, but value must be communicated. So the first speaker is Rukayat Alabi. Can we put our hands together for the CEO of RKY Careers? We were supposed to play a music like, stand up. Put our hands together for Rukayat Alabi, CEO RKY Careers and Applied Body. David-Olawade, lecturer, senior research and innovation project facilitator. Matron Kemi Ipimoye, clinical quality matron. Counselor Dr. Ashedu Joel, Director Ashema Consult Limited. Please don't stop clapping until they get up stage. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon once again, and you're welcome to the second panel session. Okay, so I'm going to start with Rukayat. Mighty woman. My first question to you is that how can African immigrants leverage technology to bridge the skill gap and make them thrive practically in career and business?
Thank you for the question, and thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. My name is Rukayat, just like she said, and I'm the CEO of RQI Careers. How can African immigrants leverage technology? Technology skills, right, are like must-have skill set right now across all role types, across, even business industries that we must have to stand out. So if you are that admin person, we are all talking about thriving, doing more than surviving. You don't want to remain in those low earning, jobs. You even want to start a business. If you want to start a business, right, you need to have tech skills. And that's what we do at RQI Careers, right? Helping people to acquire skill sets they need to stand out in the job market. Tech skills like cybersecurity, right? We're talking about artificial intelligence, If you still do not know what ChatGPT is as we speak today, then you've been left behind. Because if you want to monetize your skill sets, if you want to stand out in the job market, stand out in business, you definitely need to be able to use tools, right? Be able to analyze data. As simple as Excel skill sets is, it's still very much in demand, and it can still make a lot of difference in your journey, either as a professional or as a business owner. So one thing I do is to make sure I admonish everyone to acquire tech skills. So even if you are in a role right now where probably it's not where you want to be, you're in your waiting period, as we've all heard, maybe you're working towards maybe that, starting your business or getting visa sponsorship or whatsoever. What are you doing in your waiting period? Are you upskilling? It's very, very important. And upskilling is not just about jumping on the next boot camp or, taking a course and all of that. It's all about a mindset. It's all about a mindset. You need to have that continuous development mindset, because there's going to be something new that is disrupting the market in the next couple of years. How ready are you? The ones that we have at the moment, how proficient are you in these skill sets? So even if you're an admin person, right, and that's all you brought, that's the only skill set that you brought from back home, guess what? That's not going to get you far. You need to add skill sets. You need to add skills We're talking about transformation, digitalization, automation, even creating courses that we've all heard about today. You need tech skills. Content creation, they all fall under tech skills. Right, so we need to have that change of mindset. We shouldn't even look at it as just transitioning to tech. We should look at it as must-have skill sets, right, to stand out, to elevate ourselves, and to position ourselves, appropriately.
Awesome. So for somebody listening to you now, who has no idea where to start, where to begin, what are your recommendations? What are the things that the person should do from today? Should the person go to YouTube? Should the person go and look for a course online? What are your recommendations for a startup?
Right. For a starter that wants to transition to tech or acquire tech skills, there's so much information online, to be honest. Especially if you love free resources, there are free resources that you can leverage, but you need to know what you need. Start with a skill assessment. Where do I want to be? What skill gap exists between where I am now and where I want to be? And then do your research. If you've identified that skill set, okay, you want to be that project manager or data analyst, or even digital marketer, marketing manager, where am I now? I have customer service skills. That's all I have. Then you need skill sets. You need to acquire an upskill, to actually fill the gap that exists between where you are now and where you want to be. And one thing I always recommend, right, are packages that have been put together as all-in-one. They're called boot camps in some places, and they're called other things elsewhere. At RQY Careers, we call them boot camps, right? So these are like all-in-one support that helps you to learn the skill sets, understand the methodologies, and then acquire practical work experience. This is really important because if you just sit down, keep watching and learning self-paced and all of that, and you never get to work with stakeholders, you never get to actually work on a project from start to finish, you never get to build your own portfolio, you might just be working all in a circle, right? And then that's what we do. We make sure that, you work on projects to gain practical work experience in whatever skill set you've identified that is your gap. And then after that, right, you get all the support, supportive community. Be a part of a supportive community where you are getting industry trends and industry insights and all of that. Not everybody will attend boot camps and use it to get a job. We have a lot of people that will attend boot camps, gain those skill sets, and use it to set up their companies. We have those that will monetize it, create courses out of it as well, to share to others, right? So, but first of all, you need to work on you, which is what do you bring to the table? The job market right now is about what more do you bring to the table? Even as a business owner, guess what? This is the UK. We understand that you can outsource, you can get staff and all of that from low economic countries like Nigeria and all of that. However, when you start, how many of your operational activities can you do by yourself for a start? You need to be able to work on you and bring more to the table, either for your business. For my business right now, I have over 20-something staff as well. But guess what? I can do everything across all the departments myself. I've gotten to the stage where I don't have to anymore because I've been able to impart what makes my brand me to others, because that's where, that's what makes all the difference in you now being a business owner, right? However, I can do all of those things because I am, I have tech skills. So yeah, I would recommend boot camps where all those things you need have been packaged, as one, and you also have the supportive community to help you to understand how to apply it.
Awesome, thank you so much. So I'll move to Mr. David. When you came into the country 2 years ago, 2 years plus, you worked as domiciliary staff, a support worker, a carer. Well, fast forward to last year, like a year and a half, 2 years, less than 2 years, you became a lecturer. You started working in the NHS, and you have climbed up the ladder even to a senior staff in the NHS, while also working in 3 different universities. And I'm quite aware that you plan to leave at some point, and then they didn't want you to go. They wanted to retain you, and they gave you freer hand to say, okay, work from home, choose the days you want to work. They gave you that flexibility. And I'm like, okay, they are laying off staff, and many people are even looking for jobs, and then in 4 different places, they don't want you to go. Now, to my first question, what are the practical steps you took to move from where you were, where you used to be, to where you are now, so that people that are here and even watching online can replicate those steps and get what they want? And then I will move to the second question to say, I think you should answer that first.
Okay. First of all, let us appreciate our host, David-Olawade. While she was speaking...
I'm trying to be professional. I'm trying to be professional.
Exactly. While she was speaking, the only thing I was doing was just to admire her. And she's one of the people I met over the years, and I've told her time after time that if I was not your husband, I would have still remained your friend because of the things you do, your courage, your commitment to growth, and your love for progress. So that fascinates me over and over again. And today is another day to bask in that euphoria.
Thank you.
So let me quickly go to the question. The first thing I would like to say is the fact that where you are is not a problem, but it becomes a problem if you want to remain where you are. That's one thing I would like to start with. Secondly, I realized that there are some maxims, I tag them personal maxims, I've crafted out for myself, and it is applicable to all. When it comes to making progress, you can move from point 0 to point 100. You don't have to say that I'm looking at my day of little beginning. Your own little beginning can be where someone has not even imagined, in the sense that somebody's little beginning can be your own 10 years dream. If you feel I deserve in life, I have to, first of all, write those things down. Some things are temporal, while some are the things I would keep pursuing until I get it. No matter what happens, I'm not going to settle for that. And the first maxim I've seen is the fact that people have this early contentment as immigrants, and they have this euphoria of being an immigrant. And this is how it is. For many people who are still here, they still feel I'm better than people in Nigeria, at least, in the UK, and they live with that euphoria for 3-4 years. They still snap pictures in London, at Big Ben, and they still come into the UK as an achievement. That's early contentment. Some will tell themselves, if I can just get a job that gives me 1,800 in a month, I'm better than that my former university colleague. You need to upscale. You need to debunk that information and start positioning your mind, positioning yourself to where you are, or where you are at the moment. Look at where you are and position yourself to where you want to be. First of all, debunk that early contentment. Then the second thing is the thought of achievement will position me for more. Many people would say, I have a first class, and automatically things should gravitate towards me automatically. It does not work that way. That you have a first class, you have a PhD, you have all of these, does not mean opportunities will be paraded before you. Wow. You have to go for it. So for me, those are some of the cultures I have. Then the culture of influence to get opportunities, it does not work here.
Right.
Back home, it can work. My father is a senator, and that can open doors for me. But here, you have to look for the job. You have to merit all of that. So when I have that understanding that this is what the environment looks like, I went all out for it. I know that the society will not just reward me by the achievement I've made over the years, but I have to demonstrate all of these qualities. For example, while I was working as a support worker in a care home, one of the speakers mentioned something very profound. He mentioned the fact that where you are, how do you see it? How do you relate to your present situation? For me, I did not show them that I have a master's degree from Nigeria. I did that work diligently as a carer, and any opportunity I have, I use the opportunity. I use that as a learning curve. For example, there's some things I do domestic-wise now. I'm okay with the kids. I can take care of them. For example, I don't like my wife to go through stress. No. I told her time after time, she's not meant for stress. So I'm hands-on doing things, and I told her that I learned some of these things from being a support worker. I learned how to take care of the house, how to arrange, how to mop, how to change diapers, how to do all of that. But when I was doing all of that, I was not doing it in regret. Many immigrants do those jobs and they are regretting, I deserve better and all of that. They cry every night and all of that. I was doing it with joy to the extent that the manager called me aside, said, you are an agency staff, but I prefer the way you work. I like your work culture. I've never been late to my care job before. I wouldn't say, oh, I'm an agency staff. I don't even like the job I'm doing. Let them keep ringing me. I can give excuse for running late. No, I went there in time, did all of my due diligence, and they called me aside. We are offering you a contract which comes with a car so that you can do and sponsorship for 3 years and all of that. But I was so transparent with them that I'm not planning to do this on a long term. And I can't take that contract. He said, oh, we are scrapping agency. That means if you are not getting this opportunity, you won't have a job. I said, that's okay. I love what I've done here, but I'm not seeing it as a long term. They said, then we have to offer that position to someone else. I said, go ahead. But the 1 week I still did my job. I went to work, did all of that. And I saw that as I've impacted something there. I was happy that at least they could identify me from the tens of people that agency staff and called me aside to give me that offer. And I went back home and I told my wife, I observed something while I was working in the care sector as a carer. One of the days I had to take the service users to the GP. And I realized that those I met in the customer service, I looked at them, I had some serious conversations with them. I like to interact and network. And I saw that these people are not really better than me. And I asked them some questions. Do you have a degree? What do you do? And how did you get to this position? How do you become a researcher in the GP? And all? And they started telling me some of those stuff. And I started taking notes. And some of them are not better than I am. And I went back to my wife and I told her, give me 2 months. I'll get a corporate job. I'm not applying to any care job again. Just let me stay at home. Pay attention to interviews, do the application and all of that. And to my greatest surprise, the first application I made was to Imperial College. And why I'm saying this not to show...
Ivy League University.
Ivy League, Imperial College. And why did I do this? I realized that the people I've been speaking with, I realized that their mindset is around care, warehouse. I stopped relating with them. Don't offer me another agency that pays. I paid attention to people that in that sector I want to be. And I went all out on LinkedIn, send messages to lecturers, send messages to researchers. What do I need to do? What kind of skill do I need? Then I made the first application. I got an interview at Imperial College. I was there in person, did the interview. They were so wowed by my presentation and all of that. But they said, you don't have UK experience. That's a concern. And what was the challenge? They said, we want someone that will just get on the role and start working immediately. I could have told you that I started my first role at Imperial College. But they said, just because of that, because we don't have that time to train. Because you're going to start interacting with participants where you take informed consent and you need to be trained on the ethical concerns here in the UK, different from your home country. We know you've done research before, but you need that skill, but we don't have that patience. But we preferred you than another candidate, but because of the concern and the nitty-gritty of the role, we can't. Then I came back home, I said, oh, if I can get that, then I can make it work anywhere. Then what did I do? I went straight up into volunteering. I looked for people that are doing what I'm doing. I volunteered to lecture at the University of Southwest then. I was not paid for 3 months. I was on training. I did not mind. And when I got that certificate of volunteering completed, I started applying to universities. And before I know it, I got an email from University of East London that am I available to lecture, send them my CV, wrote my supporting statement. And that thing people are not paying attention to is your supporting statement. How can you sell yourself? How can you talk about the skill and how it meets with the person's specifications? People are not paying attention to that. And when I did that, to my amazement, I can tell you for free, let me use that word, I got a role, the first role I got at the University of East London without an interview. It looks strange, right? They looked at my supporting statement and they asked me, David, have you done this before? I said, yes. And I showed them my volunteering certificate from University of Southwest. I said, we need someone to start that job. Are you available to start next week? And that was it. And from there, moved to the NHS, worked as a senior social prescriber. Then I felt, oh, I could move to a higher band, went for the skills, got some certifications, and just before my very own eye, I started working as a senior research and innovation project facilitator. Then other universities started coming. Applications are forgotten. They said, you can work on your terms and all of that. So just to cap it, is the fact that, number one, your achievements, you have to leave it aside. It's good. Leave it aside. Whatever you are doing now, do it diligently. Then have your short-term goal and have your long-term goals. There are some things you should make up your mind that I can't settle for it. No matter how attractive or how they might represent it to me, I can only do it on a short term. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, so I'll move on to Councillor Dr. Ashodi Joel. It's so beautiful to see you again. The first time was University of Leicester, And then I went to check this woman out. I was like, whoa, who did I just meet? Seriously, so beautiful to see you, ma'am. I know you're a counselor. And before we go into your topic of discussion, I just want to touch on that. That in your role as a counselor, what role do you think African immigrants should play in local politics and policy making in the UK? I try to sample, because I like to do some researches on my free time. So checking some sectors, I see that Africans are underrepresented.
Yes.
And that means when they're enacting policies, when they're rolling out things, we will not have a voice up there, and things can be done, against Africans. But if somebody like me, somebody like him, is up there, it's so easy. You're not being selfish. You're just protecting the interest of your people. Now, so what role do you think they play, and how can they represent the African community up there? Because I was speaking to one of the magistrates here in Leicester, and I found out that she became magistrate just 2 years as an immigrant. She didn't have ILR, she didn't have a stay. And then I was asking her, okay, when did you do this, from where to where? And then she was telling me some of these things. So I wanted to tell people that it's very possible for you to go into politics, even as an immigrant.
Thank you very much, Anu, and hello to everybody who's here in the room. So I think for me, I'll be speaking from a personal perspective. So I have lived in the UK nearly 30 years. So I came to do my master's. I came in 1996, and then I spent a couple of months and went back to Nigeria because I was missing it, and then came back and enrolled at Sheffield in 1998 to do my master's.
Wow.
And then went on to do several other things. So my journey into politics was born out of a very personal experience.
Okay.
So for those who know or may not know, I'm a mother of 3 children, and my eldest, when she started school, there was an incident. She came home when she was 3, and she said to me, she said, "Oh, Mommy, today they called me out and put me in the room, and everybody sat around and they asked me what happens at home." So I think Dr. Fumi Obembe said something that you need to establish relationships with your children early. So right from a very early age, maybe because I was here on my own, and my family sort of all over, my brothers were in different parts of the UK, my sister in Sheffield at the time, so I was just on my own. And going and coming, my parents used to come, twice a year, but that really didn't constitute family. So I had no family as it were here in Leicester. So her telling me that was a jarring statement. Why would you be called out? Then I realized that there was only 2 of them in the class who were black. I said a research a couple of years ago on something similar. And the perception was that children from black African or black Caribbean or non-white backgrounds have some kind of deficiency in how they interact, how they engage, and how they settle in. Now, with the African context, if you overlay it with the challenge of culture, it is that the children were almost subjected to some kind of level of daily abuse because of how our children, were innocently portraying their experiences when they get to school. So I went to school the next day and I said, my daughter's I said, "Oh yeah, Miss Joel, the thing is, we just wanted to be sure that she's safe." I said, "Safe from what?" And then there was something else again that happened, and I was sharing with somebody who I was really close with, and she just said something to me. She said, "I've seen you do a lot of work in the community, Ashidu. you really should consider yourself, you know, an advocate. You should look for ways to speak and act on behalf of. But I thought, what's all that to me? You know, my priorities, my children, my career, and, you know, I just wanted to just fly right through to the top. And then she called me again and said to me, look, you really need to start to consider ways in which you can engage. So I started looking, okay, how can I really get involved? So the whole business of what are some of those ways we can be actively engaged and understand where we are and how to position ourselves. So I applied to be a school governor. So I was a school governor, then I became vice chair of the governing council. I've been a magistrate and a presiding justice now for nearly 10 years. I went on to leverage my skill within the domestic abuse space. So I became, and I still am, an independent advocate for victims of abuse. You know, and then I thought, okay, where else is there a gap? And at the time, believe it or not, I used to work for Leicester City Council, and then they published this report, crazy report. I don't know if, George, you have seen the report, that if you were an ethnic minority member of staff, you had some crazy factor of being able to break through the ranks or getting into middle management, and then it very quickly went to zero when you kind of skipped a certain level. Then the report also has now overlaid it with the fact that if you were black, you had almost 1 in a million chance of getting into middle management. So when I started looking around, there were so many Black and Asian people in low positions. In fact, 5 years after I joined the council, I became a team manager. And I remember, you know, a manager, a white man, calling me and saying to me, he says, "Oh, Ashido, you should be so proud of yourself. You've achieved what should normally take you 25 years to achieve." He said, "You're not excited enough." I'm not easily excitable as a person, but that was a challenge to me, that he felt that I should be jumping for joy, so much so that I've done in 5 years what normally should have taken me 25 years to achieve. Forgetting that in that time, I had endured every kind of ism just to get there, from you're overqualified. You know, in fact, when I first applied to the council, the lady who saw my application said, go back home, take off all your degrees. She said, nobody's going to call you for an interview. So remove your degrees and just, you know. I thought she was joking. So I said, but she said, that's the reason why nobody will call you. And then I rang up and somebody said, oh yes, because you'll be bored in the role. So I started to see that there is a genuine need for a different kind of mindset in the space where we're not coming in, as most of the people have said, believing that I am A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. It is a question of integrity and understanding that I am now in a completely different society. So everybody in this room has a beautiful advantage over the average white man. We straddle two cultures, and often these two cultures are very opposing. So we are working all the time trying to navigate our African collectivist culture with balancing a culture, a very British individualistic culture that says, think you, think self, take accountability for yourself, your action, everything. And we're coming from where it says, what I do, what is the benefit to everybody in the room? So I am an engineer by training, so my background is engineering. My dad always says, I need to get a proper job, because I'm the only engineer in my family who didn't stay in engineering. So hence my dad always says I need to go and get a proper job with all my engineering degrees. So back to your question about how do we now start to influence and shape the policy-making structures.
Right.
We often refuse to engage because there's a lack of trust. There's a massive distrust. So as a councillor, The doors that have been shut in my face are often when I door knock black households.
Wow.
And they often refuse to listen to me or hear me out. In fact, several times, as soon as they open the door and I start talking, no, in fact, somebody said to me, what's the benefit? And shut the door. Another person said, oh, you should be ashamed. You say you are a Christian or you're in politics. Well, politicians are crooked, they're this, they're that, and I say, you're not a Christian. And, so we need to understand who we are and what it is we're looking to do, what change we want to shift and drive. Coming here, so I've been here 30 years, so my motivation was for coming here is very different to the motivation of people who've come here in the last 3 to 4 years. So I think we need to get that really clear, that in the last 3 to 4 years, people have come purely for economic reasons, and there's nothing wrong with that. But my motivations were very different, and sometimes the challenge is I have now aligned with the culture here. My children were born here, never been to Nigeria. So my children are very British in their outlook. And I'm still trying to get them to understand my multiple dimensions and my multiculturalism as an individual. So when I sometimes interface with people who've come here in the last 3, 4 years, they come with this mindset of, as you said, I have arrived, I need to go to the locations. Whenever I go out, I need to take a video and post on Instagram Live and all kinds of foolishness. That's what I call it. Listen, if you live here long enough, you'll understand that this country will take from you as much as you think it owes you. It will take it. So you cannot exist here believing that it owes me. The United Kingdom owes nobody anything. We often, as black people, we give more than we truly get out of it. Right. I'm sure when my colleague George comes, he will say the same. And, my dear friend Grace, the people in this room I've worked with for a long time, you do not get as much as you think you deserve from this country. It doesn't give you that much. You have to put in 10, 15 times more. So when we want to impact policy, where are we showing up? We are often showing up in the wrong places. And when we do show up in the right places, we show up lacking integrity. Yeah. We show up lacking a sense of accountability and transparency. So for me, I am very quick to shut down conversations with people who I don't deem to be transparent, accountable, honest, or lack integrity. You need to have moral conscience. So I cannot say that my political journey is all about representing the black voice.
Yeah.
My political journey is ensuring that people know that I am a Christian sent into the space of politics. And so I must do politics with integrity. I must do politics honestly. I must do politics transparently. As a businesswoman, how do people see me? So I train and I coach. I do executive and leadership coaching. And I always, when I do my sessions on leadership, I ask participants, do you know what it feels like to experience you as a leader? Because a lot of the time we believe that I am this alpha individual. I am so great. So people, the way I see myself is the way people see it. But no, it is the same with politics. If I am not coming to you with integrity and saying to you, I need your vote because there is this particular issue, you don't trust me. You will not buy into what I'm saying. So we need to understand where are the gaps. Where do we need to be present? Okay. And how do we need to show up in those spaces? So you don't need to be a politician. You can be a school governor. You can be a magistrate. You can be a member of the Independent Monitoring Board where you go to the prisons. I was that for several years. You can join a political party because it is people like you who sit here who determine who is the candidate. So I don't choose myself.
Right.
We need to engage with the political process. How many people belong to a political party? Can I just ask that question? Who here is a member of a political party or even knows how many political parties we have? How many? What? 6 people in a room of maybe nearly 80?
Please raise your hand. Yeah, because the change starts from today.
Yes.
You need to apply.
So this is where we are lacking, because you don't, you say things like, oh, it doesn't matter. Anybody they put there, it's okay. God will sort me out. I'm a child of Zion, and all kinds of nonsense we spew out. No. If I go in there, so I'll just say this quickly and finish. We have a government that nearly 70% of the cabinet don't believe in God. They're atheists. So what policies will they enact that will favor me as a Christian or as a person of faith?
Right.
So you say where I'm going with this. You have to be able to lobby your councillors, your MPs, go to them, talk to them, support them. Sometimes I say to people, I'm going door knocking. It is the day I put out that people message me very early in the morning. As I was driving, something happened, this one. Oh, councillor, on that day, I arrived and my this and this. I am one person, and Councillor Cole is one person. So we happen to be just 2 out of 54. There used to be more of us. But if we don't have your backing, if we cannot demonstrate that we have the black community supporting us, not competing with us, because this is another thing. This is where it always goes wrong for us. We start by competition. We believe that if I start competing with you, then I show people that we are there. No, support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So before I move to Matron, I want us to do a very quick concentration test. So I want us to count from 15 to 0, 15 backwards to 0. I don't want you to miss anything out this time, because I know that it's been a long stretch, and I want you to do that. So shall we? 1, 2, go. 15, yeah? Say it before I call you out. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much. So to Matron Kemi Kimoye, you have a background in accounting and finance. And from your story, then you went on to study nursing. And even though you didn't have mental health nursing, even though you didn't have, the basic chemistry, biology, anatomy, physiology, all of those health and co background, but now you've risen to a level somebody might think is the peak of your career, but I know you're not settling. You have a fighting spirit, and you still want to keep going. Now, what advice would you give to people here, immigrants who are looking to break into roles that they do not have filled in, like a career change? Yeah.
Thank you, Anu, and thank you for organizing, having us for Thrive Summit. At a point, I forgot I was a speaker. I was planning in my head, listening to Dan. I was like, oh my God, I'm so pumped up. Hello, everyone. So yes, I told my friends this morning, I said, if I knew I was going to end up like a senior management board of an NHS hospital, I would that nursing, I would have read it from Nigeria. Right. Maybe I would, proper cleaned up then, before coming here. Maybe by now I'll be like the chief executive of, Leicester Hospitals. And that's where I see myself. Right. So when I came in, from Nigeria, like my sister said, I have so many sisters there today. So, from Nigeria, if you are not a doctor, if you don't do engineering, accounting, law, we are not really approved as a firstborn. So yes, so I did economics, then came here, accounting and finance, and I started here as a finance assistant. I looked at the salary. You can't blame us where we're coming from. We have standards. You have the life you want to live. You want your children to live the life that that you've dreamed of. And I looked, I said, no, I can't, it won't be maintained on this, So I thought about it, and I think I had a break, like a career break. Then I felt I didn't want to go back to the accounting and finance. What could I do? I wanted to do social work, but I didn't have the experience. But I needed to go back to school. With NHS, it's either you're clinical or non-clinical. So I picked the clinical. So then my husband did mental health nursing, although today he's a solicitor, but he specializes in mental health as well. So while he was doing it, I didn't like it because we'll come on talk about, and I never did any healthcare job at all because I was doing like admin roles, then. So he used to, do you want to try this? I said, no, I'll do social work. I applied twice. I wasn't picked. And I felt I need to upscale, like you said. So I went back to uni. That's a lot of sacrifice. Did 3 years, and I did mental health nursing. What did I tell them at the interview? I said, oh, yeah, when my grandma had dementia in Nigeria, we're not really open up with mental health in Nigeria, and she did have dementia. I looked after her, blah, 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 da-da-da. They, took me. And I started mental health, and I decided, oh my God, this is not bad. So mental health, if you like to talk, you like to engage, you're very interactive, you're very expressive. It doesn't matter if you're loud, as long as you're expressive. And I didn't like blood, the other part about general nursing. So, and I felt I couldn't do children nursing. I have 2 children, that's enough. So I settled for, that's my true life story. So I settled for mental health nursing, and I excelled. I loved the research, everything. So I started as a staff nurse in 2015. I'll be 10 years this year with NHS. I know people call it accelerated, but sometimes it's where you see yourself. I did a lot of stuff like being a deputy ward manager, then became a ward manager from there. Then I applied for Nottinghamshire, and I became a clinical matron. So it was not about, oh, I want to be able to be part of management board. It's a lot of hard work. I'm not saying prayer and fasting is not good. It is good, but you have to be hardworking, like proper, let people see, because we are black. So I used to tell my son one thing. He's studying medicine at Sheffield. So I said, Bobo, I call him Bobo. I said, you know what? As a black, boy, he said, yes, Mom, I know. You're black, you're tall. You know all the pros and cons. He said, I do. I said, so because of that, you have to, be, he said, of course, because how you'll be targeted. They'll look at you, they'll be like, why do you need to be in this post? For my clinical matron post, I think I must have done that twice. Like proper, put me in any room, I will do again. Because people will contest. They will say, why a black person? And like she said, we need people in senior management roles. I'm not saying, being a healthcare assistant is not. Yes, I was a healthcare assistant all through my uni days, and I did it gladly. I'll be leaving on Friday, and the ward manager, Kemi, do you want to shift for the weekend? I'll be like, yeah. I love the money, but I didn't see myself as that, even my band 6, I was earning good money. But then I felt for good work-life balance, I don't want to be doing 6 nights, 7 nights. So if you look at it, it balances somehow. You are where you want to be. Well, I'm still a small girl, I want to, so, but if you look at it, you can have that time, you can be able to serve God. So I was having a chat with one of my mentors yesterday, and he said, he wanted to be like, we call it 8D, director level. So it was kind of saying, where are you, how, what's the plan? And he said he didn't want a job where he would not be able to serve God. And I said, yes, you're right. I want to be able to have my weekends, the family, serve God, come to midweek services, and be able to have good health as well. That's very important. So we spoke about, I don't want to go to Rotterdam, drive, 2 hours because of a 75K job. I want that 60, 75K job, working from home nicely, remote job, hybrid here and there. And that, I think we all deserve that in this room. So I'm not saying healthcare jobs are not, being a care, I did that for years, lovely. But I still see myself progressing. So when I became a clinical matron, I took on a lot of like challenges to say, encouraging people. So one-on-one, people in this room will know me. If you've worked with me or met me, if I talk to you, I'm asking you, so what are you doing next? You know, there's so many roles you can do in the NHS. We have, like I said, I am clinical. We have non-clinical roles. NHS, we have like project, you know, management. We have engineering. There's so many roles you could dive into. So it's all about connecting. Network is good. Like in a program like this, network, get people's number. Dan Foley did something this morning when he came. Immediately, he connected all of us on LinkedIn. Oh, says, what's your, you know, he did that, and I learned something like, that's how you connect with people.
Right.
You get me? You know, so that's, we might not meet, but you don't know where you get the job opportunities. So one of my mentors as well, before he became a Haydon, like assistant director, was saying he did 40 job applications. And I was like, oh my God, I've only done 20, I've not done 40. But he said, Kemi, you might need to get to that level. So I would just encourage anyone here today, don't give up. It's not about 1 or 2 applications, like do mock interviews. You know, at the interview, be able to express yourself. Make sure it's a diverse setting, like my sis said, you know, make sure you have like a African, you know, representing you there. So there's so many opportunities. Learn, don't stop learning. Can I share something as well? I've only just started my master's. And it's being paid by NHS because I felt when I was a band 5, I didn't want to use, and I'm being honest, I didn't want to use my band 5 nurse money to go and pay 14K master. So I felt anything that NHS is giving, I will inherit, is my, you know, it's my portion. So, and I deserve it because I've worked for them. It might be 10 years, but you know, it's well deserved, and my manager supported me. But if you're good at work, like, you know, Mr. Davis said, you know, when you're good, you'll find a manager that will discover you. Somebody discovered me. Right. And you know, when I was leaving my whole job, he said, it's been lovely to see you grow. And I know what he meant by that. You know, I come in. A care job doesn't mean you have to be there forever. See yourself, okay, if you don't like mental health, you can do, I mean, there's so many jobs. I know we've been talking about businesses. When I was a student, I sold Mary Kay, you know, products. I'll go to people's houses, do their faces. Can I say as well, you can do a makeup business? Because I like, you know, makeup and all that. So you can sell hair, you can do, I mean, there's so many things you can do. I'm not saying do hair at work. Right. So another thing I would say is, being a care worker, like healthcare, I would say, because I see myself as a healthcare worker, please get training, because I've seen so many instances where people come into the country and, you know, they go to work, they don't have adequate training, then they are being, you know, let to go. And sometimes, it's not, like you said, integrity. Integrity matters a lot. Always try to acquire training. Don't delve into something you don't know how to do, especially with healthcare. Yeah. So we are having a lot of that, you know, issues where you don't have the training. Please always get training. Don't just do things where you will be sacked. Right. Healthcare is a good area. I know we've spoken about businesses a lot today, but please feel free to join us, clinical or non-clinical, but then you can always progress even to, I mean, executive level. Yeah?
Yeah, thank you so much. So, to Mr. David, a question came in the course of the week. We have, I've spotted them. Obviously, I can't call them out because, you know, for confidentiality purposes. They are lecturers in Nigeria. And then they came here, and there's somebody else who used to be an accountant in Nigeria, one of the top banks, with some years of experiences. So, but right now, they work as carers. And sometimes it's about the information that they do not have. They come here, they are all Nigerians. They come into Nigeria in the UK. They leave Nigeria to come into Nigeria in the UK. The people they meet, the people they see, you know, they tell them, oh, that's where everybody starts. You have to start from factory, you have to start from care work. So what should they do? They want to get into lecturing. Are there certifications they need to get, fellowships they need to go after? Please, just in 2 minutes.
That's a very good question. But before we proceed, PD just walked into the house. Can we celebrate
Oh, wow.
Pastor Dr. Dele Oshibakinde? Please, can we clap? Can we clap until he gets to his seat?
You're most welcome.
We must give honor to whom honor is due. I would say that he's the first sponsor of this event for giving us this amazing place. You know
That's
how much you
right.
can pay to get a facility like this
You're
for this
welcome,
event.
sir.
Welcome, sir. Okay, just to quickly answer your question, I will just start with my own experience. I only have a master's from University of Ibadan, and I use the same master's to lecture in the UK, where I don't just lecture undergraduates, I lecture postgraduate students. I don't do undergraduate. When I have my agreement with some of these universities, one thing I tell them is that I don't have that patience with undergraduates. I try to relate with postgraduate students more because of my background in Nigeria, working as a graduate assistant as well.
And you were not a lecturer in Nigeria?
And I was not a lecturer, I only did research. So when you come to the country, one of the things you can do, number one, is you can volunteer. I volunteered for University of South Wales, where I did a lecturing shadowing for 3 months. And it's not going to be paid, you just have to accept that reality.
Right.
You watch some lecturer lecture, they give you some scripts to double mark, some submissions to assess and all of that. So with that, you have already built a lecturing experience. Secondly, another thing you can do is there are some fellowship certifications you can apply for. Some are free, some you have to pay for them. Identify your field. I'm in the field of public health, and one of the certifications I identified was Royal Society of Public Health, where I became a fellow by just applying with my CV and all of those details, and they confirmed me a fellow.
Right.
That you've added the UK, you've breached the UK concern on UK certification, whatever. Then secondly, another one you can do is your FHEA. Those in the academia would understand that. For that as well, you just have to write the accelerated method or route to do all of that. You can Google that. With that, you just have to write a draft submission where you can display or talk about your experience being a lecturer or how you've lectured before, your academia, or some of those things you've done before, which I just used as my shadowing experience. And I was able to state, okay, I lectured this, I did this, I assessed students on this note. And with that, another certification was added. Then the other thing I would finalize with is participate in research. The world is all out or big on research now. For example, if you Google your name, most of the things that pop up for many people is your social media, Instagram, and all of that. You are not doing enough. Number one, when you Google your name, I realized that platforms like LinkedIn top the list. Just search your name. Then secondly, what I see is ResearchGate and Google Scholar. That's right. So many of these, if you want to transition into academia, they meet you before the interview. They search your name on Google, and if they can't really find any academic engagement you've done for the past couple of years, that will be a turn down. So for me, another thing I leverage to get into the academia is research. At least for now, I've published over 90 papers, and all of this started in Nigeria where it is resource limited. So start engaging. If you want to go into academia, you want to lecture in the UK, you've lectured before in Nigeria. And I realized that the lecturing space, they need lecturers. I've seen, even as a lecturer, I see private emails telling me, can you come and work for us? Can you work so hours this week? They're looking for lecturers. The educational sector is a big market. They are always looking for, okay, does it not amaze you? I work as a visiting lecturer in 3 universities at the moment, 3 universities concurrently, and I dictate my terms. And I still get emails, can you lecture semester for us? Can you do this for us? And I still turn them down. So by getting the right certification, you don't have to get the job engagement instantly. You can start by volunteering. Write some emails, write some universities that you would like to shadow or mark for them for free, just as a double marker. And they will give you those opportunities. Then from there, you can upscale.
Thank you. And can I add that you don't have to even, you don't have to go into lecturing to go into research. I am not a research person in quotes, but by reason of association, I've been initiated into research, and I've just completed the 20th paper under the leadership of my husband. And right now, you have no idea the invitations to come and present papers, to come and speak in the US, in Europe, Italy. One just came in yesterday. I mean, loads of, and I'm not even interested. And I know there are many people that will be interested in things like this. Please, I need just make sure that you don't have to want to go into lecturing to do that. Even in your field, you can do that, okay? So I'll move to Rukayat. One of your initiatives at RQI Careers is the £10,000 scholarship grant for women. I don't know why you left out men, but anyways, let's talk about for women. For people who are transitioning into tech or going back into work. So how do people in this room, how can they be a part of that? What does it entail? What are the, everything they need to be a part of it?
Right, thanks for the question. So to answer the question about why women, right, and why, it's not just women, it's moms. I'm a mom myself.
Mom, so
the whole of 2023, I was also on maternity leave. At that time, I used to have a 9-to-5, and I know how difficult it was. Although I had a business I was also running, I even used 2023 to expand my business, really. Right. But I know how difficult it was, because to be honest, I was ready to leave the 9-to-5 at the time, but you know how they will say, you don't just leave your 9-to-5 from a maternity leave or something like that. So I was like, okay, I need to go back. And then going back, to be honest, it was a struggle. It was a struggle. And I know that there are lots of people that take more than 1 year break. Some people even leave their career as a whole just to take care of their kids, to be there for them at that early age. Not a lot of people, have other things that they can do while, So, and I see a lot of these struggles. I engage with a lot of people that they just want to get back into the workforce when their children are now like 13, and they don't even know where to start from.
That's right.
Imagine leaving the UK job market 2 years ago. It's not what we have right now. That's so now imagine you being out of the market for like 10 years, 5 years, right? So this was what gave birth to this particular grant of mine and so we fulfill it, people can redeem it on a quarterly basis, where about 5 mothers who want to upskill, right, to be able to match what is now required in the workforce are able to get free training, free practical work experience in the field they desire, their CV optimized, their LinkedIn optimized, and all of that. And to be honest, the application, I didn't know that it would get a lot of applications, to be honest, because we did it the whole of 2024. We had massive applications of people who would really love it. And in 2025 as well, we're even going the next step to do more than just mothers, because just like you asked, we used to get that question every quarter when we want to launch it again. So this time around, we are making it like underrepresented communities as a whole, because all my initiatives are focused at the diverse communities, underrepresented communities. Okay. So we also have a lot of people who are like in menial jobs and want to move. A lot of my students are actually like people from maybe they are currently carers, they want to become data analysts, and we've seen a lot of success in that. So we're going to expand the reach. We've not actually put out the information at the moment, but there's going to be one for this quarter. So follow RQI Careers if you'll be interested, or know someone who will be interested in scholarships like this, right? Even if people don't win, because it was even way more than 10,000 we used last, because people that don't win, we give them 50% off these courses and all of that. So follow RQI Careers on Instagram and across our different platforms so that you can be, one of the beneficiaries.
Thank you so much. And that comes, with that we come to the end of the panel session too. Thank you so much, our beautiful and powerhouse speakers. Yes, please keep clapping for them till they get to their seat. So, Councillor Dr. Ashiedu Joel needs to leave. But before you leave very shortly, Ma, just 30 seconds, we need to give the presentation, the awards we want to present. So if, Mayowa, can you bring them up stage, please? And I'm going to call on Director Chinwe to present these certificates, these awards of appreciation to our speakers. Director Chinwe, please. So if we go up stage, let's go stage. This is presented to you in recognition of your invaluable contribution as a distinguished speaker at the Thrive Summit UK 2025. Thank you for your time, and thank you for coming. May I invite Dr. David-Olawade? Is he here? Grace Morofolu. We deeply appreciate your time, expertise, and commitment to advancing opportunities for African immigrants in the UK and beyond. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Philip Oladejo. In recognition of your invaluable contribution as a distinguished speaker at the Thrive Summit, we deeply appreciate you. Thank you for coming. Can I humbly request Pastor Dr. Dele Oshumakinde to present the rest of the awards to our speakers?
Did I say amen? Oh. Yes, amen. Good afternoon, everyone. I was just telling her that she didn't tell me I was going to do anything because I just wanted to grace the occasion, not to do anything. But now I'm put on the spot and I have to do something. All right, okay. Where's Tino or DG? Please, can you help? So that, oh, okay, someone needs to carry it in. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, on behalf of Thrive Summit, we'd like to present this to Matron Kemi Pimoye. Congratulations, man. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Daniel Foley. All right. Thank you very much, sir. God bless you. Thank you. All right. Okay. Rukayat Alabi. Is it Miss or Mrs.? Mrs. Rukayat Alabi, please. Thank you very much. God bless. And of course, one of our most celebrated friends in Leicester, which also has been a pillar behind a lot that is happening in the community. And I want to especially appreciate him. And that is not a person than Honorable Councillor George Cole, the former Lord Mayor of Leicester. He's been part of everything we've done here at the Envoy Nation. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Such an honor. Thank you. Thank you, sir. And of course, the distinguished Dr. Fumi Obembe. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, man. Nice to see you again. Thank you. All right. Thank you, man. And of course, the husband of the... we don't use the word husband here now. It's a co-host. Maybe the CEO of the entire thing. The COO, the CEO, and the one that's giving the wife wings to fly. And we appreciate you and celebrate you for that. And I mean, what you said struck me. So that means you don't really need to do a PhD to lecture in the UK. and I wish I knew that. Some of us, our PhD journey was... But again, you still needed to do a PhD because I'm sure he's looking forward to doing it. Because the truth is that the balance is that some doors will not still open if you don't have a PhD. That's the truth. You can only lecture at a level without a PhD. If you want to get up there, you will still need a PhD. So that's the balance. Because, I mean, I sat there and I'm like, what are you saying? You want to tell me that all those born in the midnight lamp? Yeah, I mean, I had a very interesting PhD, and it was a very fast one. Very fast. I just finished in just roughly over 2 years, and I was done. And so please, if you want to get into the mainstream academia, let's put it that way, you need to be conceptual, theoretical, and empirical. And the testimony of this kind of networking is that it was through him I got my FHEA. So, and because one day he came to the house and I was like, you are a fellow. You have an FHEA? And I was about to finish my PhD then. I said, you don't have a PhD and you already have an... I challenged myself. I said, I must get a PhD. How can someone who doesn't have a PhD be higher than me? No. And he sat with me. That's the beautiful thing about networking. And in 10 minutes, I was able to put in my application. And within 2 weeks, I got my FHA. I mean, it's just the same thing about my global talent visa. It was just, somebody sat with me also, and the person said, oh, I got my global talent visa before I even came to the UK. It was before I started my PhD. I said, what? I said, but I was told that you need to finish your PhD before you can get a global talent visa. He said, that was what brought me to UK. And it was after I came, I did my PhD. So I said, sit down also. What did you do? And same story also, within 1 month, I got my global talent visa. I mean, so what we're doing here is important. You know, in our community, the problem is that people don't talk to people. And if you come into, you see, the pastor in me is coming out now. I try to hide it, but it's difficult to hide, you know. But the truth about the matter is, I'm just saying all that to appreciate them, that things like this, they are very, very important, you know. It's just because of networking that some things are happening in the UK. And if you can learn to talk to one another, if you can learn to share our stories, believe me, we can help one another. You know, we talk about the Asian community, but you see, I think the time for the African and the black community is here. And we must optimize, we must maximize the opportunities that God is giving us through platforms like this. And I believe that somebody is going to get them to also be challenged. Even if it's just your FHA, you want to I want to go get a global talent visa so that you're not limited in any way. You can start your business, you can lecture, you can travel as many times as you want. I mean, a lot of rules about immigration don't apply to you when you're on a global talent visa and all that. And you can renew as many times as you want, and it's also your fastest track to getting your British passport. And it's very powerful. And it's just because somebody talked to somebody, and you get it. And the funny thing is that I did not get any of these things in the academia. I just got them by networking, somebody talking to someone. So at times what you need is just not where you are. It's somewhere else, and you just need to get it and use it. So on that note, I want to salute you. Thank you for this effort, David-Olawade. God bless you. Thank you very much. We don't have anyone for you. For you. Okay, so on behalf of all of us, so let's yours. Can we give her a round of applause? Thank you. How many of you have seen something about her? How passionate she is. I mean, she's, I mean, whenever I see her, you just feel that energy. And she can get you to do anything. She's very persuasive. She wouldn't take no for an answer. She said, go get her. So we celebrate you on behalf of all of us. We just want to thank you for doing this. And I believe by the time this is going to be done next year, it's going to be bigger than this. And all of us also will rally around and support this because we can now see that you mean business. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. So, has it been worth your time? Has it been worth your time? Has it been worth your attention? I was speaking somewhere 2 weeks ago, and I was telling them about the different types of currency we have. That all that there is to life is not only money. And, you know, you can be so poor, even if you're a multimillionaire. You're a multi-billionaire. Even in pounds. And you're still poor because all you have is money. There are so many currencies of life. And I learned this from one of my coaches, and he gave me an acronym, MEET. I'm going to be adding my own line of thought. MEET, M-E-A-T. There are different types of currencies. I mean, this is very unplanned. I just want to flow as it comes. The M stands for money. Money. The E is energy. The A is attention. And the T is time. So if you're spending money, it's one of the currencies, and if you're spending it, what is it called? You're spending money. You're using it. Your energy, you're spending energy, is part of your currencies. And that is why you must be very, very careful where you invest energy into. It must be profitable. Do you want to do this thing in the next 5 years? Then attention. What do they say? They say pay attention. You're paying it. It's part of your currencies in life. And then you have time. You don't have all the time in the world. One thing that connects everybody that is very, synonymous to everybody is time. Everybody has it, 24 hours. It all depends on what you do with yours. Somebody asked me, said, how do you do everything you do? Goodness. You're a nurse, and you know how nursing can be so stressful? Like, you don't want to know. They tell you it's service to humanity. Yeah, for them to, everybody knows in the world, like maybe it's only you that don't know, only you. It is service to humanity when you're a nurse. And at the same time, building a business, attending to clients, monitoring projects, managing teams, building a personal brand, a business brand, having to go speak, be a coach, be a mentor, be a wife. I don't joke with my husband. I'm sorry. I don't joke with him. I'm so committed. I'm being a mom of 2. And I was telling Matron this morning that, oh my God, I'm so stressed. This people did not let me sleep over the night. But what needs to be done needs to be done. What needs to be done needs to be done. You do not have all the time in the world. And no matter what you want to achieve, it's very possible. How many years ago? How many people, like 38 people, my memory serves me right, they came together in a room and they brought a very giant map and they put it there, in that room on a board, and they brought this, the map, the normal map, and they brought out pen, they brought out biro. They began to scribble, they began to apportion, and they said, we need to colonize this continent. Guess what? They did it. A continent that does not belong to them. And they say, you, pick this one. You, pick this one. And then that's why we have the Francophone countries, the Anglophone countries, and then people coming in, taking our commonwealth. They said they would do it, and they did it. And how many years after, some young men also gathered as slaves. They came to England, they came to the UK, and they were trained, and they gathered again. How old? I think the oldest among them, maybe Obafemi Awolowo, it was 30 years, as at that time. And they said we would take back our continent. Guess what? They did it. Nothing is impossible. Nothing, absolutely nothing. It may take time, keep at it. Keep knocking on those doors. Keep knocking on those doors. Keep knocking on those doors. It is very possible. Impossibility is nonsense. It does not exist. It only exists in your mind. So you need to expand your mind, enlarge your capacity to go after all that you want to be, all that you want to achieve. And on the last note, I would like to invite the former Lord Mayor of Leicester. Thank you so much, sir, for coming. I know you had another engagement, but you had to prioritize the Thrive Summit UK 2025. Can we make welcome? His Lordship. He will always remain His Lordship. The former Lord Mayor of Leicester, Councillor George Cole, for the final word.
Good afternoon. Come on, we can do better than that. I know it's a long morning, but we can definitely do better than that. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. And are we proud Africans? Are we proud Africans? Are we proud Africans? Now, the reason why I asked the latter question was when I was invited to come and say a few words, I was asked to give a title to my speech, and it was about being proud. And it was about being African. Now, things have changed, and I'm now going to adapt, having sat and listened to some wonderful, empowering stories. And I absolutely believe that when you leave here, if you go back to the same life that you came to when you came in here, you're doing yourself a massive injustice. There are things that has been said in here that you must not waste, because it's fundamental to you and your life and all those people that lives in your space as well. Now, I'm going to try and start initially I thought I would try and summarize what was said, but then I realized there was so much that was said, it's very, very difficult to summarize it. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to mix it up a little bit. One of the things that I'm going to ask you to do is this. Very often during the discussion, the word immigrant is used. I want you to get that out of your mind completely. You are not an immigrant here. You know, when they come to our country, they're not immigrants. They're adventurers, explorers. And we come here and we talk about the label that they gave us. No, we're not immigrants. And let me tell you this as well. You are entitled to be here. You know, when people come to your country, and this is a bit to understand, and they rob you of your birthright, you are entitled to go back and get that birthright by any means necessary. That's the advice given to us by Malcolm X. You're entitled to go back and get that birthright. And that's why you're here today. That's why you're in this country. You're here to get what is yours, what belongs to you. And let me tell you this. Please do not think that you're a foreigner. Don't have that mentality. When we, as people from the Caribbean, first came here, we were invited to come to the country to come and help rebuild the country after the Second World War. And we came here in our best suit, thinking how wonderful we're going to be received, how much money we're going to make, and then we're going to go back to the Caribbean and build that big house like Martha and live a high life. When we got off the plane and the ship in our best suit, feeling like we're going to be welcomed, and then we're first hit by the cold weather, and then the forest of racism. It took us a very, very long time to even find ourselves, let alone understand where we were. And we made some massive mistakes. One of the fundamental mistakes we make was, I'm only here for 5 years to acquire wealth and then go back. No, you own this place. This is home. This is home forever and a day. And when you have that mentality, you put down roots and you start to grow. Not like we did. We came, we rent a room. Let's not even go there. Because the advert said, some of you might have heard this before, no Irish, no blacks, no dogs. And it was a little, I don't really want to go there. But you understand the point. Now, we have gone through all of that, knocked down many doors. Now, people like us, like you and others, are walking through that door and making great stride and gaining a great deal. It would be a shame, African brothers and sisters, if you come through that door and don't gain as much as they're gaining. It would be an absolute shame. So don't see yourself as immigrants. See yourself as individuals in this place full of opportunities. And you are going to make the most of those opportunities. And when I say the most of those opportunities, you're going to own your space. You're going to own the building you live in. You're going to own the business that put food on your table, that put roof over your head. You're going to own the security system that ensures that when your children go out to the street each day, to school or whatever, you are confident that they will be coming back home in one piece to you and not getting the phone call saying, so-and-so is in this place, you need to come and get him or her. You need to understand that we must create that secure space that ensures that our children thrive. The point was made about going to school. Don't do what we did. In the Caribbean, we were told teachers know best. And so when we sent our children to school and the children came home and complained, we say, no, you're telling us stories that are not true. The teachers would never have done that. In fact, in the Caribbean, if we came home and told our parents that we'd done wrong at school, they would give us a good hiding on top of that and send us back to school. Why? Because the teachers knows best. Here, the teachers have no aspiration for our children. And if they do, it's very low. It is our responsibility to have aspiration for our children and encourage our children to aspire. It is about a mindset. And it was said several times on the panel. I also want to share with you, and you might see the thing on my cap. And the host of the afternoon put it so great, so well. 1884-85 in Berlin, 14 countries came together and decided that that piece of land over there belongs to us. And we're going to take it from them. And we're going to kill all of them if it comes to it, to take it. And that is what they set out to do. Don't doubt me. That is what they set out to do. And if you want evidence, look to America. That's what they did to the Indians. They got rid of all of them, took away the land, and the ones that survived, they put them in reservation. That was the plan for us in Africa. And the point was vividly made. And Nelson Mandela gave us this. He said, it's impossible until you do it. A thing is impossible until you do it. And some brothers, Kwame Nkrumah and others, decided we want our country back. We want our land back. And they put in place the plans and the strategy to re-own Africa. And I have to say to you, yes, we've got black leaders in Africa, but we've only got the politics. We've only got the politics. What we now need is the land, and we must own the land and all that there is on that land and all that there is above that land, because it is our birthright. And we must make the effort to do that to ensure that our children and grandchildren have a place in this world that is theirs. Now, I'm not saying to you not to own the UK, because you have every right to own the UK. Others came from overseas and took over the UK. They might not have the same color skin as you and I, but they did. And I believe that you and I should have as our mentality ownership of the UK. How do you do that? Now I'm going to leave you to think about it. But there are two things that I'd advise you to do. Own the politics. Every aspect of your life, politician makes a decision about it. What goes on in your bedroom, politician makes a decision about it. They tell you how many children you can have or how many children they're going to support. They make decisions about it. They make decisions about where you go on holiday. They make decisions about where the next supermarket is built. So imagine yourself as part of that decision-making process. At the moment, they don't say, what are we going to do for our black friends in this country? They don't. They only think about themselves. So we need to get into the politics, and we need to be around that table, and we need to be steering the conversation towards what's best for us. And I use the word us, not what's best for me around the table, because often that's the problem. You know, we have these gatekeepers, they get into these positions and they think, yo, look at me. No, it's about all of us. And so we must ensure that we steer people into those positions who will think about all of us. The other thing I'd like to suggest to us is this. A lot has been said about PhDs, MSCs, and all of this. And it's all very good. It's good education. But you know what talks louder than those? Money. Money talks so much louder than all of that. You would have seen Donald Trump's inauguration. Who were at his inauguration? Moss? Who else? Who else? Now, those are the people with money that will decide your life. I know you don't believe me, but they do. And so we must understand the power of creating wealth within our community and how to use that wealth to build our schools or hospitals. Do I need to go on? You understand me? The other thing is we must do is, and the Indians do this so well. When I first came to this country, I lived in the high fields. And there were black people in the high fields and some white people. And we as a community had power. If the council said something we didn't like, we told them we didn't like it. And they had to respond. Do you understand me? We lived in that community. We didn't say, sure, black people live there, I want to live over here where the posh people live. That's a mistake. We should live in our communities and through that develop wealth, through that develop power. And the power that we can develop through that is political power and economic power. Through that we can decide collectively who's going to represent us politically, because at a certain level, politics is a numbers game. It is a numbers game. And so when you go and vote for that person, you ask him, what do you stand for? This is what I want. Can you deliver? And if he doesn't, find the person that will. And make sure, if you can, it looks like you and understand your collectiveness, not this individuality that is preached in this country. Now, there's a lot more I could talk about, but I know that you've had a long day. And so one of the things I really want to end on, and this is it. I've said to you, this is home. Make it home. Don't define yourself as an immigrant. Africa is where your heart is and must be at all times. Ask yourself the question, why am I in the UK? If all these opportunities in the UK existed in Africa, would I have come here? Would I? You wouldn't, would you? Why would you want to? You've got the sun, you've got beautiful black people, wonderful beaches, wonderful houses. Why would you have come here? Only out of curiosity for a holiday. Only out of curiosity for a holiday. And the point I'm making is, we here have the opportunity to help people back in Africa to make Africa what it should be. So do not ignore Africa. Everything that you can do to help and empower people in Africa, do it. And make sure that I'm going to measure this, and make sure you never see yourself as anything else than an African. Too many of us, when we come here, you know the photographs that you talked about next to Big Ben, all of a sudden, because we're here, we think we're somebody else. No. We are Africans through and through, and we represent something very special in this world. Very, very special. And that's why they try and hide some of our greatness from us. Go in pursuit of it and understand what your forefathers and foremothers have done, that they've stolen, that they now claim to be theirs, that it isn't, that we're going to take back and be unapologetic about it. Before I go, I want you to give a massive round of applause to the organizers of this event. A massive round of applause. Make it loud. Really loud. Because when we got here in the early stage, none of this existed. We didn't have people come in and talk to us and say, you can be better than you think you are. You can do this. You know, we didn't have that. And you've got this here for free today. Isn't that amazing? That there are people in your community who are not thinking just about themselves, who have achieved, but not thinking about themselves, but they're thinking about you and how you too can have what they have. That is absolutely amazing. And I wanted to put his hands together and give a massive round of applause to Envoy Church. Envoy Church is an amazing church, and I'm not saying that because the pastor is here. I got invited to an event when I was Lord Mayor way back when, and I told the pastor I'd visit the church once, and I surreptitiously pulled myself into the church at the back, and the energy that was in that room was just totally unbelievable. And the modesty and the calmness of the pastor, it just took you away, and you thought to yourself, why can't all pastors be like that? It was just so special. And the pastor, you could see, and others were concerned about the space they were in, because people could tell them what time they could use it and not use it. And the pastor decided, actually, we're bigger than this. We are bigger than this. And this is what resulted. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? And my last point is this. If Nelson Mandela tells us that things are impossible until you do it, Martin Luther King tells us the arc of life is long, but it bends towards justice. And we, as a people, will get our justice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. The lunch is being passed across. Please, if you're yet to get yours, please raise your hand so that they can get to you. Media, can you please put up the attendance code, the QR code, so that people who came in after we've started can quickly scan it? Please, we need you to scan the QR code to mark attendance, because we would need some of this information on the back end to get through to you in times to come. And then, send across some of the things we want to send across to you. So, very briefly, very, very quickly, I want to call on two of our sponsors, Lemfi and SoftLink.ai. Let me come to the middle. Gino will not forget me, because I kept dragging him. I kept following up. I kept monitoring. I kept, sending messages. Lemonade Finance, now Lemfi, they do not sponsor events that are less than 1,000 people, because this is business. They want to be sure that they will have return on investment. And he said, how many people are you expecting? But thankfully, we are here, and Lemfi is an official sponsor. So please make welcome with me Gino from Lemfi to speak to us in 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'll just be brief. My name is Gino, and the marketing lead for Lemfi in north of England and Scotland. So just manage event activations in the whole of England, possibly traveling and everything like that. We're here briefly just to sign up people, right? I have merchandises there for sign-ups alone. Please, if you know that you have Lemfi, don't come to my table. We're not fighting, right? And I'm also here in case you have events and you want us to be part of it, right? So we'll be willing to see how we could support your event, not sponsor. I will repeat, support your event. Thank you very much. Nice meeting everybody.
Thank you so much. Mr. Daniel Foley is one of our speakers. At the same time, he sponsored this event from his company as well, SoftLink.ai. You're welcome, sir.
Okay, can we play the video, please? So that I'll just keep it at 1 minute because I know our time is fast spent.
Create an online course, especially a video online course. People get to know you, like you, and trust you. And in the world that we live in today, in the world of personal brands, that is powerful. If you want to create your online course, and what is holding you back is either the time, right, or the coaching, someone to guide you to launch, or the technology, how to build the funnel, or the content, how to record the course, edit the course, right, and create marketing videos for your course, or the marketing, how to run Facebook ads, how to get it on YouTube. This is the best news you're going to hear today. We're going to help you do that. Myself and my team, we're going to help you record your content. We're going to edit it for you. We're going to write your advert script. We're going to build your landing page, your funnel, your website if you don't have any. So we're going to help you launch the Facebook ads and launch the YouTube ads. Now you're probably wondering, how can you make this gigantic promise? The reason is because my personal foundation is in filmmaking. So I started out as a filmmaker, right, and then a photographer. and I filmed and photographed weddings right around the UK and all over the world. And I've won several awards doing that. And then I launched a marketing agency. Some of my clients were Nestle, Diageo, several banks and corporate organizations. From there, I went ahead to create online courses. And the reason was because I got a lot of people who said, can you mentor me on this? Can you mentor me on that? And so I started recording the things that I knew, my knowledge, my expertise in video content. Because again, I had all the cameras, I was a filmmaker, I have a team of filmmakers and editors. So I had the resources to create, online courses. And guess what? Within the space of 3 years, I created 22 online courses, sold it to more than 100,000 people in 70 countries. And I did that using Facebook ads. If you watch the screen, this is 3 membership portals that I run, and you can see my online courses in them. And I have more than 100,000 students in 70 countries. And I made more than $500,000, right, selling online courses. And with that money, I was able to then build a technology company that helps you create websites, build funnels, send emails, right, with AI. And so we have the entire value chain covered as a company, the same company that we've sold online courses globally. We've recorded content, film, photography, and at the same time we have the technology platform. I want to introduce you to the Experts program. Now, on the Experts program, we're going to help you create, launch, and market your online course and an iTicket coaching program. That includes everything from coaching, from creating the content, editing the content, setting up your website, setting up your funnels, and launching your Facebook ads. And we're going to do that for you in 90 days. So if you've been looking and dreaming of possibly working on an online course, or you want to launch your brand, or you want to look for the next person to impact, right? And the next person to impact can be anywhere in the world. So you want to find people from the other side of the world who want to learn from you, who are interested in your story, and who want to be, who want to get to where you are or where you've been. Then this is the program for you. If this is something you're interested in, feel free to scan the QR code or visit our stand at the summit. I look forward to speaking with you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. So I'll keep it very brief. When I was having a chat with Grace, she said something like, 20 years ago, when they came in, you don't have events like this. And, the Lord Mayor also said the same thing. The former Lord Mayor also said the same thing, that, they wish that they had done things like this many years ago. And conferences, events, organized by thought leaders is really what shapes and shifts industries. And every industry, even in AI or technology, that has created a global shift, you find out there is a network of people who come together. It was a network of people who came together to say, how can we share these countries? So there are communities that are quite powerful, led by people that make change, or create change in our world. And that's what happens when you have influence and impact. And I want to say that in this room today, the quality of speakers that we have, they're amazing. The quality of information that I got, even when the pastor was speaking, when the mayor was speaking, it was almost like a motivational speaker. But it wouldn't say he's a motivational speaker, a thought leader. But I got a lot of value from every speaker. And myself, I had no intentions to be a speaker. I was a content creator. But because I sold online courses, my impact just grew. So if I go to a country today, in my mailing list, I have students in Zimbabwe, in Kenya, in France, in US, in 70 countries, and I have the data on my CRM. So because I've done this, we have the system to now help other people do it. And my goal and the vision for the company is to see many African and Black thought leaders who go into spaces, who are not just, maybe thought leaders in churches or in their small communities, but actually are global and are speaking at different events, different conferences, because of how they've been able to set up the systems to have a global impact. Because you're already talented, you're already a speaker, you're already an expert, but it is the systems that make you global. How do you run your marketing? How do you create your content? And how do you show up? Do you have a pixel? Many speakers don't even understand what a pixel is and how it can be used to create an influence. So if I want many people here to see my ads after today, I know how to make it happen. If I want to reach people in Leicester, specific Black people, I know how to make it happen. So with the power of technology, you can create global effect from anywhere. And what we do is help speakers to do that and be able to have a global reach. So if it's something that you're interested in, we have our people at the stand. We can help with that. The goal and the vision is to see that Black people are represented in different spaces and at different levels. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So very quickly, can I ask that the speakers would like to take some pictures? So if we come out here with PD as well, and then we take some pictures, and every other person, everybody, if you're happy to, then we can take pictures. Outside there, please take more pictures and post online. Use the hashtag Thrive Summit UK 2025. Well, when I wanted to host this event, I didn't plan to have another one, at least maybe not Thrive Summit, but everybody's already talking, oh, Thrive Summit 2.0. Maybe if we get 50 people, let me hack to my capacity like as to PD, who will say, go and greet 50 people. If I have 50 people who says, okay, let's have it again, then we can have it again. And I want to use this opportunity to announce my book launch coming up later in the year. I plan to do my book launch, like release books on my birthday, which is in how many days now? Just a few days to come, February 5th. I've written the books, the books are live, but just yesterday, a few days ago, I canceled the plan to say, Thrive Summit is not about me, it's not about my book launch, it's about the people, it's about the value. I don't want to make it a money-making venture. And that was why I canceled it. So I will be having that later in the year, and I'll be making an announcement, and it's been my absolute pleasure to host you once again. Yes, it's going to be physical because I love physical events. And I'm just going to give you like an expo with physical, eventbrite.com. In your cities, you can always look for events near you, free networking events. I have a speaking engagement here in Leicester on Wednesday again. And these are, networking. It just connects you to people that you might not be able to meet on your own in the next 5 years. So can we have all the speakers up stage? Media, where should we stand? Down here, or should we climb up? Okay. We are asked to climb up. Yeah. Can we have you, sirs, as well? Thank you so much. Thank you. So, media team, can we capture everybody if you decide to take a picture? Yeah, we have closed. We have closed now with the speakers, if the speakers don't mind.
If you two of you stay up here and everybody else, so you capture everybody on the ground here. So you just give you that representation. So you and your husband stand here, and everybody come, all the people outside come up here and take it up. So you can see the people that are here.
Okay, everybody, please, can you come outside? Are you happy to take it?
Okay, so you want everyone to show up?
Yeah. Everybody, so you give the event to everybody else.
So everyone can be here?
Yes.
Yes, please, you can come. I think, will this thing work? Please, very quickly, let's just come forward.
Come forward.
Please, let your face show. Let your face show. Let your shoes shine. Thank you, ma.
Congrats.
Thank you, ma.
Some of us are humble in height. So we'll be up like this.
I'm trying to be quicker.
Can we do that very quickly?
Are we all good?
Please make sure your face is showing.
Your face is showing.
You may want to go to the front or squat in front. Please make sure your... Thank you.
Can we do a video?
Before you go,
And say Thrive.
Thrive Summit UK 2025.
Video.
All right, so we'll just say Thrive Summit UK 2025 at the count of 2.
Who is taking the video?
Who is doing the video? Who is doing the video? Who is doing the video? Video.
Please, who is doing the video, truly?
Sorry, I think the truth
Let me show before we. Who is doing?
Apart from the live stream, we need this video.
Okay, someone is using the phone. Okay.
No, let's do professional.
Can you turn the camera, the phone like this?
Landscape.
Yes, good. Yes.
Mikhail, can
Mikhail,
you record
are you
for us?
recording?
Who is calling?
We are waiting for him to settle this.
Mikhail, are we good?
Hold on, we are not good. Okay.
Mikhail, are we good? You're right, okay. So 1, 2, 3, go. Thrive Summit UK 2025.
What are you guys saying?
Let's take it again.
Okay, so it's Thrive Summit UK 2025. We need to be uniform. So 1, 2, 3, go! Thrive Summit UK 2025. Thank you so much. Please, the planning team. Planning team, please come up stage very quickly. Our photographer, please.